Are you looking for video live streaming services? You want your church services to be on air? You do not know where to market your goods and services? At Sound Candid Talk, we deliver the best live stream services for your events, product and service launches, conferences, weddings, and lives. Reach on us today.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We're glad you're watching. Thank you so much for making time to join us. This is Sound Candid Talk, open forum political discussion show, the show that gives you an opportunity to air what you feel and think about the latest development on our political front. Well, a lot is taking place in our day as we continue keeping tabs on our political moves, both locally and internationally. Well, Trump has been sworn in as the president of the United States of America, and came up with what is being called executive orders that have suspended some of the deals made by the Biden administration and other for his predecessors who the world is looking at as being a drawback to majority of the plans and the other expectations that were being rolled out. Some of these are touching on the World Health Organization and the distribution of drugs, climate change programs, and things like that. Well, it appears that Africa will be hit hard by reason of these changes introduced by the President Trump on the issue of America first before anything else. Well, we invite your input even as we start this conversation around it. And of course, we'll be diving into ensuring that Africa should come of age and be able to stand on her own 2 feet and be able to do what she's supposed to do other than depending on the aspect of being supported or relying on the West unnecessarily. Well, we'll be looking at this even as we dive into that presidential orders or executive orders by Trump and their effect to the global operations and politics as well. Well, as this goes on, there is also the aspect of the William Ruto administration back home here. And the William Ruto administration back home here is having issues. One of it is the continued perception of the isolation of Mount Kenya as a plan or as an agenda by the William Ruto administration. I don't know everything about this, but I would want to learn this from you as you give your input on the matter isolating of Mount Kenya by the William Ruto administration and in the future political games that are being played. Now, when this is at play, it is important that we all keep everything within the framework of the provisions in the sense that there is what is rumored, there is what is propaganda, and there is what is valid and factual. We'd want to be as factual as possible and not just whip emotions by coming up with, too much exaggerations on obvious matters. So we'll want to look at this, the William Ruto leadership. Is it geared towards isolating Mount Kenya? And this isolation of Mount Kenya, how will it profit William Ruto? and his administration, or what advantages and disadvantages will it have on our politics? This also coming on the backdrop of William Ruto trying to collapse the wherever government corporations, 42 to 20. Now, this is one place that I believe every Kenyan needs to open their eyes wide and be able to look what is happening, because in the course of collapsing and merging of this corporate, will have to end up losing some properties, losing some assets, and probably losing those corporations altogether to individual private owners in unclear circumstances. I invite your input as we start the conversation. Thank you so much for choosing to be part and parcel of our conversation. And we are grateful that our appeal to the YouTube channel, wherever our officials went through, and we have our channel back full swing. The strike has been lifted, and so karibu sana. We are live on Sound Candy Talk Live YouTube channel, Sound Candy Talk YouTube channel, as well as Sound Candy Talk Facebook page and TikTok. Wherever you get us, whatever platform you enjoy finding us, please make sure that you are the ambassador. We have an extension of what we're doing right here, right where you are. Share the link widely, get more people to join, and let the whole world tune in. Let's learn as we engage on these manenos that affect us directly, indirectly, and otherwise, as far as our politics are concerned, and the kind of life you're going to lead by reason of all the changes that are taking place. So we'd want to hear from you. Well, the link to use to get in the studio is now ready in the comment section. Please click on it. Allow Streamyard to configure for you the camera as well as the audio. And of course, you will find yourself in this space for us to get talking. Thank you so much. And let's engage heartily and, of course, seriously to ensure that everything concerning this country and our relations with the rest of the world are within the framework of what is profitable for us, as well as what is necessary in ensuring that everything concerning our lives and our operation is within the framework of the Constitution, as well as the profiting of the Kenyan people. And so Trump talks about America first. Can we also talk of Kenya first? Can we talk of Africa first? Or are we too dependent to an extent that we cannot even dare go to that wherever line of thinking? I believe as a people, we have a great we have great to say about this entire thing. So quickly on that, as we start the conversation, before we even play the video, let's look at what the Trump presidential executive orders mean at the moment. Well, just going down the list, Make America Great Again agenda, focusing on the immigration, trade, global health, and foreign aid. These actions are likely to have significant impact on African nations. One is suspension of foreign assistance. Trump froze all U.S. Foreign development assistance for 90 days to review its alignment with American interest. The U.S. Is a major donor to sub-Saharan Africa, and the freeze could potentially lead to more conditional aid, possibly linked to anti-China stances or supporting of U.S. businesses. Now, that is another matter that we must consider seriously when the suspension of foreign assistance takes effect. How hard shall we be hit, and are we able to survive without that foreign aid? Well, there's also external revenue service. Trump proposed creating an external revenue service to collect tariffs and duties on foreign trade. This could disrupt global trade, particularly affecting Africa exports of primary goods to the USA. However, African nations like South Africa, which export more complex goods, might be more directly impacted. Well, number 3, withdraw from the Paris Agreement. As a critic of climate change initiative, Trump moved to withdraw the US from Paris Climate Agreement, which could hinder global climate action. Which could hinder global climate action and worsen challenges in Africa, including extreme weather events and of course droughts and of course the other climate impacts. Now this is something that has William Ruto right in the midst of the same. I think he portrayed himself, or he was appointed the ambassador of climate issues in the African continent. And now when this is done, remember the William Ruto administration and the Biden administration had a merger that and the friendship, a close working relationship that matches none, and it was all geared towards these climate change programs. And now when Trump withdraws from this, what becomes of Ruto and his climate change programs, and of course the rest of Africa? Next is withdraw from World Health Organization. Trump ordered the US to withdraw from the World Health Organization, citing unfair financial demands. This could worsen health inequalities, especially in Africa, as World Health Organization plays a key role in managing global health crisis. And number 5 is national energy emergency. Trump's energy policy shift, emphasizing fossil fuel production, could affect Africa oil gas markets, potentially lowering prices. At the same time, US focuses on mining could increase investment in Africa mineral sector, presenting both opportunities and risks for African or wherever African economies. Now, this is just a summary of what the Trump executive orders entail and what they mean to Africa. We'll be looking at that, and I would want each one of us to come forth and be able to participate into the conversation, even as we look on other stories. That is Ruto and Mount Kenya silence, or the Cold War that is taking place between William Ruto administration and the Mount Kenya region. Then state cooperation reforms. Are this geared towards profiting of the Kenyan people, or it is an avenue for looting the remaining of the parastatals and corporations owned by the government into the hands of private owners in unclear terms? What is your take? Appreciate each one of you. Please, let's be on the forefront to participate. Karibisha mtu, 35 people. Can we get more people to join? I appreciate all of you joining on Sound Candy Talk and Sound Candy Talk Live. We are yet to get somebody on Facebook. Thank you for the likes on TikTok. I appreciate you so much. Please, let's keep going as we start out this particular conversation. So let's get this video out of, as we start the conversation. Please, wakati tunacheza video, naomba tafadhali makinika, kukaribisha mtu tumakinike wote, na usichelewe kuingia studio kwa sababu muda wangu kiyoyoma basi mimi nang'atuka. Lakini kabla tufike hapo basi, wacha tuangalie masuala haya ya Trump kubadilisha ama kufanya nini his executive orders, masharti yake mapya, America First policy, making America great. Is it going to make more marketable to the world or more disadvantaged in her relationship with the rest of the world? Karibu sana, tuanze pamoja, usicheze mbali, karibisha mtu ili tukajifunze mengi tu mazuri ambayo yanatokana na sisi kuwajibika katika kutekeleza majukumu yetu kama wazalendo wanaopenda kutekeleza yale ambayo
Now, executive orders signed by US President Donald in place. Now, executive orders signed by U.S. President Donald Trump may have significant impact in Kenya and the African continent. Trump has declared an America-first approach to foreign policy, suspending all foreign assistance from the U.S. for the next 90 days, pending reviews to determine whether it is aligned to U.S. foreign policy. This is a blow to many African countries that receive significant aid from the U.S. Back home, foreign policy analysts doubt that Trump will claw back on the interests propelled by the Biden regime, insisting that a symbiotic relationship thrives between Kenya and the United States. His previous administration was characterized by significant shifts in U.S. domestic and foreign policy, which included stringent immigration policies and skepticism about, you guessed it, climate change. Melita Oletenges has more.
The office of President of the United States.
President Donald Trump signed several executive orders in the Oval Office hours after his inauguration, including one that suspended new foreign aid from the U.S. in order to assess whether current policies were effective and aligned with his foreign policy agenda. The executive order stated that foreign aid and bureaucracy were not in the best interest of the United States and often went against the nation's values.
During every single day of the Trump administration, I will very simply put America first.
Although the White House did not clarify to what extent this order would affect foreign operations, non-governmental organizations and international organizations could be significantly impacted by this decree.
There's no free gift. So when they calculate what they get from Kenya in return, they will let that one slide and say small price for what they get. So it's nothing to worry about too.
Anything social aid that has no economic returns to the America, he will cut off. That we can bet. But anything that has economic value to America, he will retain.
The Aid Data Network estimates that the U.S. government aid contributes approximately $1.68 billion annually, an equivalent to 252 billion shillings to Kenya's economy. This includes $1 billion in direct aid. The U.S. government has been a leading provider of aid to international organizations such as the United Nations, the World Health Organization, and various donor funds operating in Kenya. This means Kenya could face considerable effects from Trump's order. Trump owes climate agreement, dealing a blow to worldwide efforts to combat global warming and again distancing the U.S. from its closest allies and clawing back on climate funding in Africa and Kenya.
We will drill, baby, drill.
The global community is running away from fossil fuel into green transition, renewable energy. But here we have Trump saying we are going to drill. And that already sends a signal to the global community on what America is thinking, on what Trump is thinking, in particular about climate change.
Trump has also said no to illegal immigration to the U.S., sparking fears among immigrants who may have settled without proper documentation.
The ones that are likely to be in trouble are those who then violated their visas conditions. And there may be some, but it will take time before they are rounded up.
The U.S. president signed an order that the country will no longer recognize birthright citizenship for children of illegal immigrants. This refers to automatic American citizenship granted to anyone born in the U.S.
And we will begin the process of returning millions and millions of criminal aliens back to the places from which they came.
I think it's just hot air, good politics, because no judge, no officials in their right mind will try to violate the Constitution of mistreating an American citizen who happens to be a baby.
Trump's orders may also impact agreements between President Ruto and former U.S. President Joe Biden, particularly in sectors such as infrastructure development, the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry, as well as Kenya's designation as a major non-NATO ally.
So help me God. So help me God.
Melita Oletenges, Citizen TV.
My mic is off. Well, thank you. Sorry, well, let's keep going. Thank you so much. I appreciate those joining from wherever you are. Sami Costa, thank you so much. Tunim Hamuda, asante sana kwa kuingia. William Adilo, karibu kwa show. Sami Costa nasema Zakayo was never invited to Trump inauguration. It's because Ruto is not a Republican, although he's a former member of URP. He was United Republican Party. I don't know. The relationship between the URP and the Republican Party of America in terms, is it the uniform, is it the colors, or what is your take? Well, let's talk. Talia, bless, thank you so much for arriving. Let's keep going as we continue with the conversation. Now, asubiri tuingie studio tukajadili masuala haya. Ningependa kujua msimamo wako. Namuona Gitonga huyo, karibu. Frabad, I need your input. Ili swala la isolation ya Mount Kenya ningependa kuisikiliza. Bwana Guru, kama unanipata, ningependa pia uje ukachangie ili swala. Na of course, Mr. Kamau drives the bus every day. If you can get me, please, I need to hear this issue of isolating Mount Kenya is an important aspect of our politics and our understanding of the same. Is it just smoke screen or is it reality? And is it possible to isolate Mount Kenya? How do you isolate Mount Kenya in the first place? Let's weigh on the same as we continue. Thank you, everyone. Let's keep going. Sound imerudi ama? Okay, thank you so much. Asante sana. Sauti jarudi? Please, you guys confirm. Well, somebody confirmed. Are you able to get me? Tuning. Okay, yes. Okay, thank you. Asanteni sana. Ni vile tuli mix videos nikachanganya masuala ya sauti, lakini tuko sawa. Naomba tusonge mbele. So nawakaribisha wale mnakuja studio tukaangazie swala hili. So we have looked at the summary of what Trump means and in his orders. And it's important that we look at it extensively, especially I would want those of you in the diaspora to come and spell for us what's happening. And there's that statement by Trump that he wants to send away millions of illegal criminals. Now, I really can't even, imagine that, but that is how he perceives and sees. From the overflow of the heart, the mouth speaks, the Bible says. And so it appears this aspect of sending away the people not perceived to be Americans who are being called criminals, it may be a serious issue. Although that professor says that is hot air, that is smoke screen. I mean, it's neither here or there. Probably it is. Well, let's see how it works on the same. And just make sure you don't find yourself on the wrong side of the law, especially if you are within those boundaries. But all in all, let's engage. Let's speak up. Let's not keep silent until what is required is done and is done rightly. Thank you very much. Naomba tusonge mbele. Namuona Undumani ameingia. Basi tuanze moja kwa moja tu kuangazia masuala haya ili tukamakinike katika yote tunayoyasema. Na naomba umakinike kukaribisha mtu, usitazame kipindi peke yako. Hapa ndipo Wakenya wanakutana kusema masuala yao kwa lugha yao, kwa maneno yao. Undumani, hali vipi?
Salama Bernard.
Karibu. Na kupata njia safi, karibu sana. Trump anasema mjipange wenyewe. Maneno ya kusaidiwa hakuna.
Sasa Bernard, hawa ambao wanasaidiwa ni wakubwa. Sasa aambie hawa wakubwa, sisi wadogo hatupatangi, hata wakienda kupewa sisi hatupatangi. Hakuna mtu mpaka sasa ameambia sisi deni ya Kenya, nani alienda kuchukua, nani alisaini hiyo. Wanasema wanalipa nini? Sasa hata kama ni kujipanga, wakubwa wao wajipange, kwa sababu hao ndio wamepora nchi. Hao ndio wamepora nchi kabisa. Sasa hao ni wenyewe ndio wajipange, na Watrump wakalie ngumu, hata kusafiri huko wakalie ngumu. Huwezi kuchukua pesa yetu hapo na wanaiba na kuenda kutembea kule. Wengine wanakamatwa na pesa kwa barabara wengine wanakamatwa na pesa kwa barabara kwa mizigo wakisafirisha pesa, na nchi yao bado iko maskini Bernard. Huwezi kujenga nchi yao Bernard. Sijui wakubwa wanakaa namna gani. Mtu anapora nchi asifu hii si nchi yake, asifu yeye ni mgeni kwa nchi. Sasa wajipange. Mimi sasa nenda Amerika kufanya nini Bernard? Hawa wakubwa ndio wataenda Amerika. Sasa wajipange sasa, wajenge nchi yao. Wasipojenga nchi yao, dei kukiinuka sijui watatorokea wapi. Huko Amerika wanatoroka siku hizi. Sasa wamebadilisha mwendo, wanaenda Dubai. Huko ni nchi mahali wakora tupu. Wakora ndio wako huko tupu. So mtu anakosa kutengeneza nchi yake imeharibika. Mtu anapora mpaka anapora nchi yake. Unashindwa hii mtu ni namna gani? Hawezi hurumia nchi yake. Mtu mmoja ako na mabilioni ya pesa. Unashindwa Bernard, huyu mtu atamaliza hii pesa miaka ngapi? Na unapata Mkenya hana chakula, hana madawa, hana elimu, na unapata mtu amejirundikishia pesa mingi. Unashindwa hii. Ndio Biblia inasema kwanza tafuta ufalme wa mbinguni kwanza, na vingine vyote vitakufuata. Vitu mzuri yote itakufuata. Lakini hawa wanatafuta ya dunia. Wajui ya kwamba ndugu yao amekula, ndugu yao amelala njaa nini, hawajui hiyo. Wanajua bibi zao na watoto yao peke yao, na kwenda kufanya ziara kule Amerika. Sasa vile Trump amewaambia wajipange. Sasa kujipanga ni kujipanga na nchi yao, waanze kujenga nchi yao. Lakini mimi naona hii wakubwa hii Kenya hatuna viongozi Bernard. Tuna viongozi wale viongozi Sirasi alisema ni mikebe kabisa Bernard. Na huko Sirasi huko Kakamega ndiye alimwambia rais ukweli wa maneno, si wengine wanamficha. Hata Biblia yenyewe inasema ukiona ndugu yako anaelekea kwa shimo, na kama umwambii iko shimo mbele, wewe na yeye mwenye anaanguka kwa shimo, nyinyi wote ndio mtahukumiwa. Lakini Sirasi alimwambia rais ukweli wa maneno kabisa. Lakini wengine hawa wanapiga makofi tu. Hata rais akiwaambia, mimi naona ziara ile ya kwanza alikuja, hakuna kitu ile ya maana alifanya, hakuna kitu ya maana. Ndio amekuja tena mara ya pili, bado wamemtembeza tu, wanamtembeza, sijui wanadanganywa kama watoto Bernard, wanadanganywa kama watoto. Na hakuna vile Western itaendelea, hakuna vile Western itaendelea na hao viongozi, sample ya viongozi yenye tuko nao sahi hakuna vile Western itaendelea. Western itaendelea au tutabadilisha Western kama labda viongozi wapya kama Latembea, kama Silasia, kama wengine hawa ndio watabadilisha hii Western, mustakabali wa Western. Lakini hawa wabunge wa Western kutoka kwa spika, kutoka kwa waziri mkuu, hakuna vile anaweza kubadilisha nchi, hakuna vile anaweza kubadilisha Western Bernard. So hata mimi nashindwa wakati anashambulia Kachagwa. Yeye alipata kura ngapi? Hapa Western yeye alipata kura ngapi? Wewe unashambulia mtu yule mwenye alizua kura karibu milioni 4, milioni 5. Na yeye hata Sabatia kwenyewe hata wakukupatia kura. Sabatia kwenyewe wakumpatia kura. Na yeye anataka kukashifu Kachagwa. Anakashifu Kachagwa namna gani? Na yeye mwenyewe hata akuletea huyo Ruto kura. Yeye alienda kulamba sahani yenye sio yake. Alienda kulamba sahani, yani ndugu yake alimuita kuje tulambe hizi sahani. Asikujaribu kukashifu Kachagwa. Kachagwa alichaguliwa kura na Wakikuyu milioni 4, milioni 5 kuliko watu ya Sabatia. So kukashifu ndugu yako hivi mwenyewe ajisomee mwenyewe, kwa sababu hata yeye mwenyewe akisimama kwa constituency yake hawezi kupita. Hata ugavana peke yake huko hawezi kupita. So mtu haoni. Kwanza Biblia inasema kutoa kwanza boriti ndani ya jicho lako ndio uone kibanzi ndani ya jicho ya ndugu yako. Unawezaje kuona chafu ile kwa macho ya ndugu yako na wewe mwenyewe iko chafu kwa macho yako? Ndio bena nasema hao viongozi kama wapigwe marufuku kwenda huko, wapigwe marufuku kwenda huko, waende kwa nchi ile ya wakora tupu. Lakini nchi ya Amerika vile Trump ameingia namna hiyo, ndio wataona cha makuni, kwa sababu yeye hataki mchezo, hataki hii maneno, tunataka ufisadi. So hiyo ufisadi hii ndio imejaa Kenya. Watu wanaongea na kiburi, watu wanaongea na majivuno kwa sababu wako na fedha, kwa sababu Biblia inasema mwanzo wa majivuno, mwanzo wa kiburi ni fedha. Wakati yako na fedha ndio watu wanakuwa kiburi. Wakiwa na fedha, wameweka fedha hapa kwa Kenya, benki imejaa, ingine wameweka huko ng'ambo. Wajali wa Kenya. Hii serikali hii imeingia saa hii serikali hii imeingia, wajali wa Kenya wanajali. Mimi naona juzi wamepeana makazi kwa watu yao wale wamekuwa tu kwa ile serikali ya Kenyatta, wale wamepewa kazi. Wale wamekuwa kwa serikali ya Kibaki wamepewa bado kazi, wamerudishwa. Wale wamekuwa kwa serikali ya Kenyatta bado the same wamerudishwa kwa kazi. Bernard, na hawa vijana hawa jenzi wataenda wapi? Vijana hawa wanatafuta kazi Bernard, hawa wataenda wapi? Hakuna mahali wataenda hao vijana. That's why vijana Trump anasema waendelee kupigania haki yao. Hii haki yao isifinywe, mtu asifinyilie haki yao. Waendelee kupigania haki yao. Hata mimi naunga mkono. Na waendelee kupigania haki yao. Na serikali wasionea vijana ati hao ni wahalifu. Hawa si wahalifu, hao ndio wahalifu wa nini? Hao ndio wahalifu wa hiyo inaitwanga nini? Hao ndio wahalifu hapa Kenya. Kwa sababu ukiiba mali ya mwananchi, si wewe ni mhalifu? Wewe wakati unaiba mali ya mwananchi unaenda kuficha huko ng'ambo ndio wanatajirika, huko ng'ambo ndio vijana wanafanya kazi. Lakini hapa kwa nchi yao wameiba pesa hata kuweka factory moja. Mimi nashindwanga hii factory hii ya Mumias inaenda kufunguliwa kila siku. Mbona hii factory iko hii ya Wahindi iko hapa Butali sionangi hiyo factory ikienda kufunguliwa kila siku. Bernard, hii ni biashara wanafanya au nini viongozi ya Western? Si hii kampuni ya Mumias wausie tu Muhindi aone vile ataendesha hiyo kampuni hiyo. Lakini Waafrika Waluya wameshindwa kuendesha hiyo kampuni hiyo. Kuendesha Nzoia imewashinda, kuendesha Mumias imewashinda, kuendesha Pani Pepe imewashinda. Wanaletega tu rais kumpora pesa. Ndio Sirasi akasema ako na broker hapo ndani. Wakati anaweka pesa ya Mumias hapo ndani, wengine wanakuja kuiba hiyo pesa, wanapora hiyo pesa. Ndio Sirasi aliwaambia yeye ana watu kabisa, kwa sababu watu ni waporaji. Kila miaka ngapi kiwanda inakuja kufunguliwa? Hata hawana aibu kuletenga rais kila wakati Mumias. Hawana aibu. Mtu hawana aibu kuletenga tu rais kila wakati kwa hiyo kitu moja Mumias. Kama Mumias imewashinda, wabomoe hiyo mashini ya Mumias, wagawie Waluya hiyo mashamba waanze kulima. Hiyo vichuma hiyo waende kuuza kwa scrap. Bernard, waende wauze kwa scrap. Kwa sababu kila wakati wao unaleta rais ataweka pesa hapa anafungua Mumias. Mumias inafunguliwa mara ngapi? Nzoia inafunguliwa mara ngapi? Hii ni kucheza na akili ya mwananchi. Hii ni akili ya kucheza na akili yetu. Bernard, hata viongozi wa Luya wana mbele wala nyuma, hawana mbele. Kila wakati hata hawana aibu kuletenga rais kila wakati Western kufungua Nzoia, kufungua Mumias. Kitu imewashinda. Kama kitu imewashinda, wachukue rai yako hapa Eldoret, wausie hiyo chuma hiyo rai. Wakati anausia rai, waone vile rai atasiaga miwa mzuri Bernard. Lakini kila wakati ya kuleta rais, kila wakati Western anakuja kwa kiwanda ya miwa, anakuja miwa gani Bernard? Kama kiwanda ya Mumias imewashinda, waweke kiwanda ya kunini ngozi, ya kutengeneza ngozi ya viatu hapo. Kama sukari imewashinda Bernard, kwa sababu hakuna haja kila wakati rais anakuja Mumias. Hakuna mahali pengine rais anaweza enda. Anakuja Nzoia, hakuna mahali pengine rais anaweza enda. Kitinda iliwashinda pale. Mimi nafikiria kwamba rais anaweza enda Kitinda ile ya maziwa ile iliwashinda. Bado tu Nzoia, Mumias, sukari. Na wanapora rais pesa. Wanapora serikali pesa. Serikali inaweka hapo pesa Mumias, wanapora Bernard. Hakuna mkulima yule anafaidika. Pesa yao ni kupora tu mwananchi. Ndio tunasema ya kwamba watengeneze mustakabali ya Kenya mzuri. Wasipotengeneza mustakabali ya Kenya mzuri, hao vijana wanaitwa jenzi watawasafisha kwa sababu hawana ya kupoteza. Jenzi hawana chochote, hawana ya kupoteza. Sasa watengeneze mustakabali ya Kenya hii, watengeneze hili Kenya ili inaweza kuishi na wajukuu yao, Kenya inaweza kuishi na watoto yao na vitukuu yao. Lakini wasipotengeneza, jinsi itawafagia, kwa sababu inajua mali watoto yao wanasoma, inajua mali wanafanya kazi, inajua mali wanaishi. Mtu akwambie yeye anajua mpaka mali watoto yako wanasoma, wanaishi, unafikiria ni mchezo Bernard? So hawa wacheke tu na wacheke, badala ya kutengeneza Kenya hii wanapenya meno na kutuvalia masuti na kufuatafuata rais kwa matako, wanafuatafuata rais kwa matako, badala ya kufanya ile kitu inatakana watengeneze mustakabali ya Western, mustakabali ya Kenya hii watengeneze. Kwanza wakishatengeneza, maisha ya wajukuu yao itakuwa mzuri. Lakini the moment wanasema watu wanaiba, wanaenda kuweka ng'ambo kule, wanaweka ng'ambo huko, wanabomoa nchi yao, wanaenda kuweka, wanaiba pesa za hapa Kenya, wanaenda kuweka huko ng'ambo, Kenya inabaki vile iko namna hii. Alafu wengine wanasema ati rais ajipange mzuri Bernard. Rais ajipange mzuri, kwa sababu hii uchaguzi hii inaenda kumshinda. Hakuna mtu hivyo, vikaragosi vyake vinamwafuatafuata kwa nyuma, hao ndio watawapigia kura. Lakini Wakenya wako nao Bernard, Wakenya wako nao, wasidanganye Wakenya, kwa sababu Sirasi alisema hii watu wanakudanganya rais, hii watu wanakudanganya rais. Ground ilikuwa imebadilika, yote ground imebadilika. Sijui kama nani atapigia kura Bernard. Na hii kura tunataka kura yetu ihesabiliwa moja kwa moja, na tuambie hii kura kama atapata kura hiyo alipata namna gani, atupatie formula ile alipata hiyo kura. Lakini tupatia formula ya kupata hiyo kura Bernard, kwa hii miaka tumeumia, Wakenya wameumia, Wakenya watatarajia kuumia tena miaka 5 hii inakuja. Hajipange mzuri Bernard, hajipange mzuri na hivi karagosi vyake, kwa sababu hivi karagosi ndio vimefanya wananchi wa Kenya saa hii masomo imeharibika katika university, katika secondary masomo imeharibika, hata mpaka kwa NASA. Wakati vile Kibaki alitengeneza elimu mzuri sana Kibaki, lakini hao vikaragoso wamekuja kuharibu nchi ya Kenya kabisa. Sijui kama wana nchi gani nyingine, sijui wana nchi gani ile inaitwa Kenya. Hawana, nafikiria hawana nchi. Hii nchi hata hawana roho katika hii nchi. Ukipora nchi yako inamaanisha ya kwamba hauna roho katika nchi yako Bernard. Hawana roho kabisa. Wasiseme wanapenda Kenya. Mtu yule anapenda Kenya ni yule anajenga Kenya, afanye ufisadi. Lakini mtu mwenye anafanya ufisadi hapendi Kenya, hapendi Kenya. That's why wanajipiga kifua huku na huku, wakienda wanajipiga kifua, wanafikiria Kenya ni yao. Hii Kenya ni yetu wote, inataka tutoshe hii Kenya, tutoshe hii Kenya. Wengine wasitoshe na wengine wasitoshe, wengine wasiibe pesa hapo, wanaenda kuweka huko ng'ambo, wanafikiria wanaumiza sisi. Iko siku itafika Bernard, hata kutembea nchi yao hii watakuwa kama wakimbizi Bernard, watakuwa kama wakimbizi. Hii nchi yao afadhali waitengeneze. Hii nchi ni nchi yao, kwa sababu kama ni nchi ni baba yako, ni mama yako, itakalo utengeneze. Kama ni mama yako, nchi ni mama yako, faisha mama yako nguo, faisha baba yako nguo, faisha viatu mzuri, tengeneza, kwa sababu nchi ya Kenya ndo baba ndo mama. Huyo mama mtengeneze mzuri, baba huyo mtengeneze mzuri. Hapana kuchukua ile ya baba, unaiba ya baba hiyo unaenda kuweka ng'ambo, unaiba ya baba unaenda kuweka ng'ambo. Baba mgani yule anatengeneza? Nchi gani ya Kenya wanatengeneza hawa wakubwa hawa? Hakuna nchi ya Kenya wanatengeneza, na wapendi nchi yao Bernard. Hawa watu wapendi nchi yao kabisa. Lakini itafika mahali Bernard, hii nchi yao hii watakaa kama wakimbizi, watakaa kama wakimbizi. Wakati wanakaa kwa hii manyumba yao kubwa, hata kama wako na security ya kutosha, wataona bado wajakuwa protected, kwa sababu ya hiyo ufisadi na mambo yao hiyo walikuwa wanafanya Bernard. Asante Bernard, wengine wanaweza kuchangia na Trump ashikilia hapo kabisa. Trump ashikilia hapo kabisa, asiwakubali hao wafisadi waendelee kuwanyanyasa wa Kenya. Naunga mkono.
Sawa, asante sana Ndumane, tunashukuru, utangulizi mzuri kweli, maonyo, mawasia, alafu of course kurekebisha yale ambayo yalikwenda mrama. Swali kwako kabla labda tukuache. Rais jana Ruto akasema wale ambao wanampinga watakuwa na kazi ngumu ya kumtoa, na wewe unasema hana kura. Sasa kipi hiki? Yeye anasema sio rahisi kung'atuliwa.
Unaona Bernard hii mwenyewe anajiamini. Yeye mtu anaweza kujiamini Bernard, lakini katika ground amepoteza ground. Labda wafanye ukarabati ile anafanyanga Bernard. Hii ukarabati anafanyanga afanye tu, lakini hata wakisimamisha Burukenge, Wakisimamisha Burukenge na yeye, Burukenge itaenda Bernard. Asijipige kifua ati adili, asijione ati yako la jeshi, ati yako la polisi, ako la IBC. Haya, kama atapita bila kupingwa, mbona asiweka IBC? Mbona asiweka IBC? Kama nasema ati atashinda. Atashinda wapi? Si anaogopa Bernard. Yeye anaogopa. Kama ni mwanaume aweke tume ya uchaguzi. Aweke tume ya uchaguzi hata leo, aweke tume ya uchaguzi hata leo Bernard. Akiweka tume ya uchaguzi leo, basi atapita. Lakini ni muoga Bernard, ni muoga Bernard. Hii tume ya uchaguzi tunataka aweke. Lakini hii hata tukisimamisha na Burukenge, Burukenge itaenda asubuhi na mapema. Burukenge itaenda asubuhi na mapema. Hata ule mtoto ya Nasari, tulichukue tu mtoto ya Nasari asimame na yeye. Mtoto ya Nasari huyu anaenda. Bernard, asijipige kifua ati yeye hata tunajua tabia ya viongozi ya Kenya wapitangi kura, wanapitanga wanaibanga kura Bernard. Viti ya mtu kujipiga kifua, yeye ndio tume ya uchaguzi, si aweke tume ya uchaguzi kama yeye anajiamini. Yeye aweke tume ya uchaguzi kama anajiamini. Haweke. Tuone kama atatoboa. Hawezi kutoboa Bernard. Hata ingine tunajua hakutoboa, hii ingine tunajua, tunaelewa. Sisi wa Kenya tunapenda amani, lakini tunajua ya kwamba hakutoboa. Hakutoboa, that's why inji imemshinda Bernard. Inji hii imemshinda. Lakini kama angekuwa amepigiwa kura na wananchi, hii inji ingekuwa inaendelea mzuri Bernard. Asijidanganye, tusimamishe tu Burukenge. Burukenge napeleka yeye nyumbani.
Sawa Ndumani, asante sana. Haya, Wakenya wenzangu wote mahala popote mlipo, naomba tafadhali, asante sana kwa kuendelea kukaribishana. Kumbuka kuna kulike video na kuna kupiga kura. Hizo zote zinafanyika kwa Sound Candy Talk and Sound Candy Talk live YouTube channels. Piga kura yako, like video, alafu changia kwa kuhakikisha kwamba unakaribisha mtu aingie naye achangie kwa mambo haya. Undumani anasema hata Burukenge anaweza kushinda William Ruto kwa uchaguzi huu kwa sababu kulingana na Undumani ground imeenda na hiyo ground imekwenda kabisa, so labda akuwe na muujiza mwingine ambao William Ruto atatumia isipokuwa kuhesabu kura. Kama ni kura tu na kura zifanywe kwa njia halali, basi William Ruto anang'atuliwa, hata akisimama kinyume na headboy wa primary school. Headboy atapewa, William Ruto atakataliwa. Unakubaliana na Undumani? Hebu njoo ukaseme maoni yako na wewe tukakusikilize. Na kama unatufuata TikTok, you can also comment hapo kwa comment section na tutaweza kusoma labda 1-2 comments ukiendelea na mjadala wetu. So William Ruto is cooked. His bid for the second term seems to be not hanging in the balance, but Kenyans have already decided against it. And so I believe all right-thinking Kenyans are on the same page, on the same matter. So naomba tumakinike tunapoendelea. Eli, karibu studio, kama unaweza ukaseme hii maneno ya Trump. Kwanza hiyo is my greatest interest today. Na nimeona pia Njiru mahali hapa. Njiru ndo alikuwa kampeni mkubwa wa Trump. Naomba aje hapa tuambie hii masuala Trump anasema ndio hayo malikampenia ama yamebadilika, na kama yamebadilika ni kipi ambacho tumebadili na sisi katika msimamo wetu kwa mambo haya. Now, as Trump takes office and comes up with those drastic measures to frustrate and of course try and contravene everything that was going well for America and the rest of the world, it leaves a lot to be desired. It leaves a lot to be desired, but it boils to this one thing. Can Africa stand on her own 2 feet and do her own things without depending on the West and without relying on aid? Because one of the greatest problems we have in Africa is this, what is called foreign aid and foreign loans, because it seems to be the sophisticated aspect of our corruption. And in the process, we are losing a lot to unclear debts, unclear loans, unclear so-called grants that come with attached strings. And those attached strings are affecting almost all our operations as a people. They bring the aid, but now they want to decide who becomes president. They will say they will support you, but in the process, they will not let our democracy take place. They will want to interfere with it. They would want to impose leaders on us. And so as Africans, I think we need to come up with modalities of ensuring that we do what is rightfully ours. And the best example is what's going on in Burkina Faso and so where I think we as the African continent need to go to benchmark in Burkina Faso and take lessons from how this young man is, causing shockwaves globally by reason of serious decisions that are being taken and action plan that is geared towards the people and the welfare of the people. If there is anything we desire, pray for, and wish to have as a continent is leaders who will operate and function within the framework of the interest of the people, because what's going on now is something else altogether. You get somebody in office as the president and he lives all his life in office acting on the whims and on the calls and on the demands of the West at the expense of the people. Look at what has become of William Ruto. 2 years in office, he has reversed everything Uhuru Kenyatta had left for the people. There is no Linda Mama. There is no Pesa kwa wazee. There is no Edu Afya for the students. The free education is hanging the balance. The CBC program is failing. It's all a matter of getting your priorities right. And if the people you are leading are not a priority, you are not their leader. And you should not be found in that place where leadership is taking place. And of course, as we continue, let's quickly look at this Mount Kenya story so that we mix the conversation and of course get right what is happening. So ningependa sana aswa nyi watu wa diaspora muje hapa, ama mnaogopa Trump atawaweka kwa watch list? Karibuni hapa mtuambie hii inaitwa ni maamuzi ya Trump yanakwenda vipi? And then of course there is the aspect of state corporations. We'll look at that as let's just have a look at what William Ruto is proposing with these state corporations and being merged. That 42 state corporations will be merged into 20. Isn't this an avenue to secure private ownership of public properties without being caught? Is this genuine? Is this valid? Okay, let me just get the right video on the same. Here we go.
Classification Board and the President's Award, Kenya, will be scrapped, with the 42 others merged into 20 entities in what is seen as another attempt by government to restructure non-profit-making state corporations. The cabinet also approved alignment of 16 entities by assigning them additional roles. Cabinet Secretary for Public Service, Performance and Delivery Management of Kenya, Justin Muturi, did not attend the meeting in Kakamega. Emmanuel To has the details.
The changes meant to reduce wastage and enhance efficiency in government will see a number of entities dissolved or merged. The first meeting of the cabinet this year, which brought new faces of the recently onboarded CSs, proposing radical changes after the National Treasury assessed 271 state corporations, excluding those earmarked for privatization. The dispatch from cabinet stating that 9 state corporations will be dissolved with their functions transferred to relevant ministries or other state entities, while 16 corporations with outdated functions will be sold or dissolved. The 9 corporations earmarked for dissolution include the Kenya Film Classification Board, Kenya Sesefly and Trypanosomiasis Eradication Council, Kenya Fish Marketing Authority, Center for Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa, President's Awards Kenya, Nuclear Power and Energy Agency, and the Kenya National Commission for UNESCO. The 16 state corporations with outdated mandates include the Scrap Metal Council, Jomo Kenyatta Foundation, Kenya Yearbook Editorial Board, Kenya National Assurance Company, Coast Development Authority, Kerio Valley Development Authority, Lake Basin Development Authority, Tana and Athi Rivers Development Authority, among others. Similarly, 42 state corporations with duplicating, overlapping, or related mandates are proposed for mergers to form 20, and they include the University Fund and the Higher Education Loans Board into one, the Kenya Tourism Board and the Tourism Research Institute, the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, Kenya Industrial Property Institute, and the Kenya Copyrights Board also merged into one. Others are the Kenya Rural Roads Authority and the Kenya Urban Roads Authority, the Kenya National Trading Corporation and the National Cereals and Produce Board, the Wezo Fund, Women Enterprise Fund, and the Youth Enterprise Development Fund will also be merged. 6 state corporations have also been approved for restructuring to align their mandates for better performance, and they are the Kenya Utalii College, Postal Corporation of Kenya, Bomas of Kenya, National Syndemic Diseases Control Council, Kenya Roads Board, and the Housing Corporation. Public Service CS Justin Muturi gave the cabinet meeting a wide berth days after he claimed the government was behind the abductions in the country. This comes as President William Ruto lauded the changes he made that he says included members of the ODM and the Jubilee parties into government.
Siasa ya ukabila na chuki na kugawanana hatutaki katika Kenya yetu. Na ndio sababu hiyo nikatengeneza serikali ya umoja ya Wakenya. Serikali inaitwa broad based ambayo imeleta Wakenya wote pamoja.
Lazima tuungane sisi zote kama Wakenya. Kweli si kweli? Mngetaka tuungane? Vile rais amesema aendelea kuunganisha watu wote ya Kenya.
Serikali ni hii na sisi tutakuwa hapa, na mimi nataka niwaambie tumeshikana kabisa, hii Kenya itakuwa na maendeleo zaidi.
The total investment for last mile in Kakamega County.
Earlier, President Ruto launched the completed 2.9 billion shillings last mile electricity project in Shinyalu, Kakamega County, which is set to benefit about 35,000 households in the county.
Tuendelee.
The president's trip of the Western region enters day 4 on Wednesday. Emmanuel Toh, Citizen TV, Nairobi.
Masuala ni kama hayo wanapozungumzia swala hili la merging of different corporation, public owned corporation in terms of handling wastage. Kwa hilo swala moja la wastage, okay? Hii kitu inaitwa presidential tour, working tour. Is in that part of wastage. For example, the cabinet meeting today was held in Nairobi. It was held in Kakamega County, okay? That means all the cabinet secretaries and the whatever permanent secretaries had to travel to where? To Kakamega, had to be booked in a hotel and wait for this cabinet meeting to take place. At whose expense? At whose expense are these people traveling to Kakamega? At whose expense are they sleeping in the hotel? At whose expense will they be eating as they listen to that cabinet meeting? So William Ruto takes with this hand and pretends to give you with this other hand. If there is any waster of public resources, I think William Ruto leads on that list. What in the world does, I mean, it's even cheaper for him to go for his so-called tour in Western and come back for the cabinet meeting for the 2 hours and go back to Kakamega, okay, than carry these 40 people plus to Kakamega, book them in the hotel. Ninyi mtaniambia, kwangu mimi William Ruto na nawa mkono tena, okay, nawa mkono tena, kwa sababu it doesn't make sense that you transport around 60 people. And don't forget, his entourage has more people. So we are talking about an average of 200 to 300 people under his, wherever, under public funds program being sponsored by the taxpayers' money. And then you turn around and say you want to collapse these cooperatives, wherever corporations, so that you save on government wastage. Hey. Haya, Undumani, kama unala kusema kwa dakika moja, tumlete msimama mengi.
Bernard.
Yeah. Samahani, unmute you, umejifungia.
Bernard.
Hapo sawa, endelea.
Okay, nasema namna hii Bernard. Hii parastrato yote walitengeneza kwa nini Bernard? Hii parastrato haisaidii mwananchi wa Kenya, haisaidii mwananchi wa Kenya. Walitengeneza hizo vitu ya kusaidia marafiki zao na magirlfriend zao. So wafunje tu, wafunje. wa Kenya hawana haja na hizo vitu hiyo Bernard. Kwa sababu hiyo vitu hizo za parastrato ni vitu za ukabila. Ameongea maneno ya ukabila hapo. Lakini tunajua since 1963 nani ni wakabila. Tunajua nani wa kabila. Hizo viti zote waliundia makabila zao na girlfriend zao na marafiki zao. Sasa hata akifunja, akose kufunja, haisaidii mtu, haisaidii Mkenya, haisaidii Mkenya. Yeye aendelee tu na shughuli yake. Wakenya wameamua tu kupeleka yeye nyumbani. Afunje, akose kufunja, hiyo ni yake hiyo. Hiyo ni yake Bernard. Sisi hata hatukujua ziko. Hatukujua ziko, hao ndo wanaonyesha sisi, lakini hiyo vitu yote walibuni hizo parastrato za nini? Za nini? Ya kuweka pale Arab Koskei, ya kuweka pale sijui nani, ya kuweka pale sijui nani, ya kuweka pale magirlfriend zao. So hiyo ifaidishi mwananchi chochote, haifaidishi mwananchi chochote. Sisi tunataka huduma. Kama hizo vitu zilikuwako na huduma hakuna, zifunjwe. Sivunjwe. Hao kama wameamua kufunja, wafunje, kwa sababu Wakenya walijua kwamba huduma hakuna. Kwa hiyo vitu, hizo vitu ni bure, hizo vitu ni bure Bernard. Avunje, akose kufunja, hizo ni bure. Hao ndo wana waste pesa ya serikali. Hao ndo wana waste, kwa sababu maendeleo hawana. Hao na gari kutoka Nairobi kufika Kakamega anatumia mafuta ya pesa ngapi? Ndio manyumba ya kulala pale. Si ana waste. Hii mkutano angefanyia Nairobi huko. So hata angeambia sisi, hata wangetangazia sisi, wenyewe wangefunja huko, kwa sababu hiyo vitu inasaidia mabibi zao, watoto yao na makabila zao. Asiseme ati ya kwamba amweka hii Kenya kidogo, amweka hii Kenya makabila yote pamoja, ameunda serikali ya makabila yote. Anadanganya nani? Tukianza kupiga msasa hizo viti amepeana, kabila gani ndio mingi Bernard? Ni kabila yake ndio mingi. Hii ingine amepea Muluya hapo, Mudavadi hapo, Wetangula pale na wengine na vikaragosi vyao hapo kidogo kidogo, alafu na anasema ya kwamba aliunda serikali ya Wakenya wote. Hakuna. Hii atadanganya wale watu wajaona mwangaza. Atadanganya wale watu wajaona mwangaza. Lakini majority ya hiyo viti ni watu yake. Majority, tusemazane ukweli wa maneno. Ukweli ni watu yake. Asifumbe na kufumbua Bernard. Majority hiyo viti ile ni watu yake na marafiki zake na magirlfriend zake. So yeye imsaidii Mkenya. Mkenya anataka huduma na hiyo huduma hakuna. Mkenya anataka huduma. Na kama walifanya hizo parastrato zote na huduma hakuna Bernard, hii haina maana. Mwingine anaweza changia Bernard.
Sawa, asante sana Undumani. Unasema parastrato zifungwe, zifaidi wa Kenya. Labda kwa kutupia one thing there is shida sio parastato kufanya kazi ama kutofanya kazi. Shida ni hizi paratatu zimejengwa na zimeundwa kwa pesa ya wananchi. Wakati wanasema wana merge, okay? Kuna zile ambazo they are public owned properties, but now in the process ya kumerge hizi kutakuwa na ile kuiba zile ambazo majina yake sasa hazitumiki. Like now the Kenya Post Authority, Kenya Postal ilikuwa inaitwa Postal Corporation, okay? Iko na nyumba, iko na majengo, iko na mashamba. So wakati wanasema ati wanazifanya nini, wanazimerge, haya mashamba na hizi nyumba zitaenda wapi? Zitaishia kwa mikono ya hawa ambao wanataka kutuibia bure. Well, let's keep going as we continue. Msimamo, hali vipi Kwale? Kwema?
Kwema kaka.
Karibu.
Asante sana, pokea Ndumani na wale wengine. Sina ukaaji hapa, nimeingia tu kidogo na nirudi nijisikize, sijisikii poa. Kwa hiyo langu la msingi ni hili. Kwanza, hii si serikali ya Wakenya, si serikali ya Wakenya wote. Huu ni upumbavu, ni kutufanya wafanya nani ndondocha, ni kutufanya vikaragosi. Sasa hii ni serikali ya Wakenya wote aje? Eti hii serikali ni ya Wakenya wote aje? Hizi sura kwani ni ngeni katika macho yetu kama Wakenya? Hawa waliochukua kodi ama waliochukua kwa Jubilee na usema kwamba hii ni ngeni. Ukifuatilia hao wote, kila mtu ana mashaka yake. So walichukuana wao marafiki ambao wanazibana yale waliowafanya, alafu wanatuambia kwamba hili serikali si ni ya umoja wa Kenya aje. Sikiza hiyo soprano ya Kindiki nayo. Yaani aliambiwa utatii, la sivyo utaondoka. Sasa anatii pale sauti ya bwana wake. Sikiza hada anazungumza hapo kweli kwamba sasa mnakubali watu waunganishe Kenya aje. Hii ni siasa. Ruto anatekeleza siasa kimpango. Wewe siasa yake haiishi. Kila siku utamkuta yuko pale. Ndio maana alikuwa anaipiga kifua jana akisema kwamba hakuna mtu wa kumtoa hapa. Hayuko kikazi, yuko kutafuta hiyo mambo yote tumeona hapo. Ni kwa sababu kile kinachotajwa hapo, kila parastated inayotajwa hapo, kuna kitu hapo. Hakuna vile ambavyo haina kitu ambacho wanafaidi kwayo. Laiti kama hazingekuwa hazina maana wala hazingekuwa zimeletwa hapa. So tusimue macho na hawa jamaa waongo, mashetani, wasioheshimu Mungu, wadanganyaji. Hawa tusiwape nafasi. Hata hawa waliotetwa juzi kwa Jubilee, wote hawa tuseme ni wakora tu. Kwa sababu haiwezekani mtu alitoka katika waziri serikali nyingine na ameyaona yale Wakenya wanapita, alafu mtu apewe position haikubali, kama si ulafi na unafiki na usaliti kwa Wakenya. So those have been given all those positions, wote hao ni mafisi, hawana uzuri kwetu hata kidogo. Kwa hivyo mimi hati nione Kagwe, nione Kabogo, nione akina Wandai na kina wengine, wote hawa ndio wale ambao walikuwa wananyonya nchi, wanafyonza, kisha alafu baadaye wanaanza kutuletea malawama. Huyu anashika njia yake na laumu huyu, huyu anashika njia yake na laumu huyu. Mwisho wa siku tunachanganyikiwa Kenya, hatujui tufuate nini. So tukigawanyana, kuna wafuasi wa huyu na wafuasi wa huyu. Hivyo ndio wanasiasa wanavyotaka kutubeba ufala. Asante.
Nitasema namna hii, umeongea kitu ya maana kabisa, kwa sababu hawa watu ya ODM wakati waliingia kwa hiyo serikali wanajua ya kwamba mwananchi anaumia. Hawa wanajua mipango yote ya mwananchi anaumia. Baada ya mwananchi anaumia, tena hao ndio wanaenda kuchukua madaraka kwa hiyo serikali. Hiyo serikali hiyo, hao ndio the same wanaenda kuchukua madaraka pale. So sisi hatuna imani nao, imani yetu nao ilikwisha. Ni kama niyo yeye anaenda nyumbani, ataenda nyumbani wote. Tunataka watu wapya, tunataka watu wapya.
Ndio nasema kivyo vyote vile, hata tukisema tunatetea baba nani na chama chake, but whatever they showed us as Kenyans ili tu surprise. Sasa tangia waingie katika serikali ni nini mabadiliko? Wamebadilisha Ruto kwa lipi? Je, hakopi, haibi, hawi? Sababu nitasema ni kwa maana kama pengine kuna mauaji, kiongozi yeye ndio wa kwanza kuweza kusema jamani, haya yasitishwe na nipewe investigation, ili kila umma waone kwamba hawa wauaji na watekaji nyara na kina fulani, lakini mpaka liongelewe mpaka watu watoke machozi ndio pengine usikie kwamba kama si tishio la vijana kwamba wataandamana, hawa vijana pia hawangaachiliwa. Na kama pengine inachezwa kisiasa, wakina nani wanahusika kama si wao? So wanatufanya sisi hatuna chetu katika hili taifa. Taifa hili ni la walionavyo, na wasiokuwa navyo wao wabaki hivyo hivyo walivyo, wasiamke. So tutaishi katika hili taifa kwa miaka mingapi katika hii hali? Na ndio maana unakuta mtu akipata nafasi katika nafasi tu ya uongozi, basi ni sasa ni mtu ameshacha ameshacha ukapela, akashamua kuoa, ama ashacha mambo aliyokuwa nayo, ameamua kutafuta Mungu na kuokoka. Sasa na siasa, basi wakishapata opportunity ya kuingia kwenye siasa, huyo si mwenzetu. Hata tuambie lete si mwenzetu, kwa sababu siasa nzima ya Kenya iliharibiwa. Na ili tulimalize na tulitetee hili taifa ni kuhakikisha tumewafagilia hawa watu wote, na si wanasiasa tu, hata wale ambao wamepewa hizo nyadhifa kirafiki, wanaosimamia mapingine mahakama, wanaosimamia masuala mazima na uchunguzi, na wao pia ndio watu ambao tunafaa pia tuangalie, maana wanacheza pati yao. Wakionekana hawana lawama tunarusha kwa Ruto, maana yeye ndo anaonekana zaidi, lakini ukifuatia Ruto utakuta yeye Ruto hajafanya, kuna watu wamefanya huku nyuma. So watu wanachezesha akili hapa kama sivyo. Hao watu ni wakufagilia wote, ili tutengeneze hili taifa na uongozi mwingine mpya wa Kenya. Lazima tukatae, lakini maandamano ndio yatakayotusaidia. Mimi sioni kingine. Maandamano tena ya nguvu kama haya ya Gen Z, utakaua watakaobahatika watafika mahali ambapo tunapataka. Failure to which tukisema tunaenda diplomasi, tunaingia katika mazungumzo, tunasubiri kura ya 2027, tumechemsha. Asante.
Okay, asante Msimamo, tunashukuru kwa huo utangulizi mzuri na msimamo mkali ambao lazima ueleweke, na tunashukuru kwa wote ambao mnatufuata pembe tofauti. Njiru, mimi sikuoni kwa feed, sasa sielewi uliingia studio ipi? Unasema uko chini hapo, sikuoni, ama unasema uko kwa comment section. If that's what you mean, that is it. Thank you. But I would also want us to appreciate the fact that serikali ni ya William Ruto, cabinet ni ya William Ruto, na inaongozwa na William Ruto anavyotaka ama anavyopenda. Na hii sisemi kwamba na support kwamba cabinet iongozwe vile mtu anapenda ama vile anavyotaka, lakini imeonekana dhahiri shairi kwamba William Ruto sio mtu wa kufuata katiba na sio mtu wa kufuata sheria. Kwa hivyo wote ambao anawaajiri katika cabinet yake watafanya kila mmewaruhusu kufanya. Wewe umesema vizuri kwamba Kindiki aliajiriwa kubeba bendera na kusema kama vile rais amesema. So hao wengine wote ambao wanafanya kazi hapo, si wanafanya kama vile rais amesema na wanasema vile rais anasema. So kama kutakuwa na mabadiliko, lazima tubadilishe msimamizi. Wakati kuna shida, Undumani atazungumzia kuhusu mpira wetu wa FC Leopards na Gor Mahia. Okay, FC Leopards tunakuanga na wazuri wa kubadilisha coaches wakati FC ifanyi kazi vizuri, tunakosema hapana, tutake local coach, nataka international coach. Yes.
Mfano tu mdogo, mtu ana kidonda cha mguu, madaktari wamejaribu kutibu hakiponi na nini, mwisho wa siku kunalazimishwa kukatwa mguu kwa sababu vile vimelea ambavyo vinasababisha kile kidonda kwamba hakiponi, pengine ndo vipo, na ili tumalizane na hili tatizo, labda tuondoe kabisa ile sehemu husika ili mtu apate kupona. Sometimes mtu anakatwa mguu usiku kwa sababu ya nini? Ni vile vimelea, maana havipo. So tukisema tunaondoa huyu aliyewapa juu kwa sababu ndo anaongoza, lakini kuna role models wake, kuna watu wako pale chini ya maji ambao wanaelewa hapa kwamba ni nini. Kwa hivyo tunaondoa watu, tunamwangalia yule, lakini hawa walio hapa pia si kwamba pengine hawajui, wanajua. Hiyo tu ni lazima tuliangalia katika hiyo angle, maana tukisema tunabadilisha referee ama tunabadilisha coach kwa sababu timu iko sawa, ipate coach mwingine ambaye ataweza kuweka mambo sawa, fine. Lakini naye akija tuangalie huyo coach anayekuja ama tunamweka nani, je, atakabiliana na mawimbi hawa ambao wamesalia, ambao pengine wamefanya corruption kwa nguvu, wameloot, wamefanya vile ambavyo wamefanya kuhusiana na masuala mazima na hela za Kenya, na ni wengi. Maana usiangalie tu Ruto tu kwa jicho kwamba kwa sababu yeye ndio yuko pale juu, kuna wengine ni wakina Ruto nusu na wamo ndani ya serikali japo hawaonekani. So hii mchezo ya wanasiasa ni game kubwa kiasi kwamba tukitazama tu kwamba tunaondoa huyu coach tuweke coach mwingine, lakini kuna wengine hapo ndani ambao pia ni wabaya zaidi, watakuja kuambukiza hawa watakokuja, hawa ambao tutaweza kuamini kusema ni kama hatujawafagilia.
So pendekezo
langu ni coach pamoja na management nzima.
Coach na management nzima. Alafu management mpya tunaitoa mbinguni ama hapa?
Tutapata papa hapa kwa sababu tuna imani kwamba wapo ambao wana uwezo, lakini baada ya kwamba tumeweza, kwa sababu hatuwezi acha hawa watu ambao huyu anaweza kuwa hata yupo, lakini bado michezo inachezeka vile vile, kwa sababu tumetoka mbali na hii shida. Lazima kwanza hii management pia nayo tumegundua kwamba nayo hapana. Kwa tukisema tunatoa coach peke yake, lakini management ile ili itafute coach mwingine ambaye hata kuja kutoka mbinguni, atatoka hapa duniani, bado wao ndio watakuja kutumesa, kwa sababu nao nguvu ile ambao wameirithi kutoka kwa maasisi wao watatumia ile. Mimi mtazamo wangu ni huo.
Nakuelewa na nashukuru kwa msimamo huo na mapendekezo hayo. Lakini pia unajua kuna ile hali ya kufanya nini? Kuna ile hali ya uongozi ambayo kuna kutegemea kile kilioko, alafu kama chombo ambacho kitakupeleka kule unakotaka kwenda. Na tukisema tubadilishe coach, inamaanisha coach akija atatengeneza kikosi chake, na kila mara coach atachagua wale ambao anaona wanafaa kusaidia timu, na ili timu ipate kushinda kama inakwenda mechi ama inakuwa kwa wherever particular league that they are playing. And so huyu coach hawezi kuja na kurithi timu, ambiwe asisajili mtu mwingine ama asiingize mtu mwingine, atumie hawa tu. Kama hivyo basi utaona kama ni coach halisi atasema kama mimi mmeniita hapa kunifunga mikono na kunizuia vile napaswa kufanya kazi yangu, basi mimi afadhali ning'atuke. And so kile ninachosema hapa, hata katika ile quest yetu ya kufagilia, kuhakikisha kwamba kila mtu ametoka ili tupate watu wapya ambao watasimamia. Ukweli ni kwamba hakuna serikali inafikanga mwisho, meaning that we do away with the entire government and then bring in a new government altogether. Kibaki alirithi kutoka kwa Moi. Kuna watu wale walitoka kwa Moi wakafanya kazi kwa serikali ya Kibaki. Vivyo hivyo kila serikali kuna wale watu unarithi. Kwa mfano unarithi jeshi vile vile lilivyo, huwezi kuja na jeshi lako. Unarithi polisi vile vile walivyo, huwezi kuja na polisi wako. Walimu hivyo hivyo, madaktari hivyo hivyo. So ili suala la sisi kutafuta mabadiliko na kulenga watu fulani, lazima pia tulibalance, kuelewa kwamba hata tukijaribu kuleta mabadiliko haya hatuwezi kubadilisha kila mtu, lakini tukiwa na kochi mzuri ambaye atachagua timu nzuri, timu itafanya vizuri. Hata kama Yesu alisema wacha magugu na ngano zikuwe pamoja, Bwana mwenyewe ataamua pale mwisho. Basi kuna wakati ambao mtaacha magugu na ngano wakuwe pamoja, lakini tukifika kuvuna ndio tutafanya separation. But I appreciate that. And nilikuwa tunataka nitoe hiyo perspective, ili kuna wale ambao wako na dhana kana kwamba serikali itawekwa kwa kikapu kimoja alafu itupwe huko, sisi tuende kuchagua serikali mpya. Kuna ile ambayo sehemu ambayo lazima itakuwa na urithi. So huo urithi ukiwekwa katika uongozi unaofaa utafanya kazi vizuri hata ukiwa na dosari, lakini usipopewa uongozi unaofaa, they will take advantage of the weakness of the weak leadership and make a mess of whatever programs and policies that may be rolled out. I hope that makes sense. Msimamo, tumlete Lala.
Nakubaliana na wewe kwa kiasi kikubwa unachokizungumza kaka, mimi sipingani nacho, lakini unajua kama hayaanguki basi ni lazima uyatikise. Kama hayaanguki basi mpaka uyatikise. Na pili, likubigalo kweli limekufunza. So tumekuwa na huu mfumo ndio fine, kwamba hatuwezi toa watu wote, naelewa hilo. Na si wote ambao katika serikali hii ya Ruto kwamba pia wanapendezwa zaidi, ni kwa sababu wamejikuta wamo humo na vya kufanya hawana. Sasa hivi ni kwamba lazima watii, maana wakati wakija walijua kwamba wataweza kutoa makali yao, lakini ile mbavu kwa sababu wamebanwa zaidi, wengine wamo tu wanatamani mpaka leo watoke, lakini wana wasiwasi, je, nikitoka itakuwaje? I don't believe si watu wote ni wabaya, lakini kwa kiasi kikubwa lazima pia tuangalie haswa wale ambao tunaweza kusema kwamba tunawategemea. Mjeni hawa ambao wamekuwa wakilani na kupinga kile kinachoendelea sasa hivi wamo.
Okay, thank you.
Hawa nao ndio walikuwa wanapinga, wale walikuwa wanapinga tangia awali. Leo wameahidiwa nafasi ya hela, ndio hizi nafasi wa mwenye ndio huu, wamerudi tena wanasifu tena wakisema kwamba sasa kazi itakwenda, ili hali bado. So mimi sina shaka na kubadilishwa kwa coach, lakini mwisho wa siku tuangalie, kwa sababu anayeumia sometimes ni hawa mashabiki. Hawa mashabiki ndio wanaumia, japo ndio hawahusiki katika kiwanja, kwa sababu wanaocheza pale ni wachezaji 5 na management imepanga na kila kitu, lakini wanaumia zaidi ni mashabiki. So ikiwa ni hivyo basi itabidi mashabiki wavamie uwanja, wafurusha hata hao wachezaji pamoja na kochi wao, kisha mwisho wa siku hili litakuwa fundisho hata wale wengine ambao watakuwa wameteuliwa, maana ikibidi lazima lifanywe. Asante, na nitafungia hapo.
Sawa, asante Msimamo, tunashukuru na tutaendelea hivyo hivyo tukuelimishana, kukumbushana. Naomba tafadhali makinika kukaribisha mtu, piga kura yako, alafu hakikisha kwamba una like video. Tafadhali give the video a thumbs up, is important, and then of course participate fully into the show. Thank you very much. Let's keep going. Tumulete sasa Lala naye achangie. Lala, how are you today?
Asante Bernard. Ndugu yangu Dumani na Msimamo na wenzangu ambao wako huko nyuma, habari zenu? Mimi niko salama, ingawa nina usuni mwingi kwa sababu leo ndio siku ya kwanza kuwa na Trump back, lakini kwa sababu alishinda ni lazima ni kama ni support the constitution, manake naishi nchi hii and they have been good to me. So I just wanted to say some few things regarding that, because it's a major shift in U.S. policy that will impact all of us, not just for a short time, but maybe for a very long time. So I want us to look at what is going on. I'm disappointed because the policy has always been against certain part of the world, certain color or tonation of skin, and that worries many of us. But we hope that the system is strong enough that it will not impact, or it will not, some of the things will not go forth. The first one that I think all of us probably now are aware that there are executive orders that that will impact, all of us in some ways, and in more ways than what you think. Suspension of foreign assistance program for 90 days. They're freezing everything. So it means that yes, some of our people who may getting money for aid and others, they have to think twice before they get the point where they don't have their medication. And there's a lot of programs, feeding programs, different programs that the U.S. is involved with. And we hope that it will be a short term, so that they check the ones that are necessary, and then they come back, because I believe some of them will be restored. But right now it is frozen. Okay. The second thing, the trade policy is somehow going to be shifted a little bit. So, for example, the oil industry and other areas will be impacted. But I think this also may be short term, because actually US need Africa more than we need them, because Africa is the cradle right now of natural resources. They tell you they don't need you, you are called or whatever S countries, but at the same time they are in Africa looking for resources. Remember, Somalia did not have a government, but Visa was there, American Express was there, all the major corporations were there. They were doing business in Somalia. All the time that you guys were trying to stay away from Somalia, American corporations were there in Somalia. So where there is money, they are going to be there. So they are not leaving Africa. They'll be there to make money. And the people that are taken over, people like this guy from South Africa, who is the richest man on earth, they are calling shots, and we know exactly who they are. So we have to wait and watch what's really going on. The crew that are coming there are not helpful at all. And we must remember that African Americans, and Native Americans are the authentic citizens or leaders or native of USA, not white America. They still have their own, where their grandfathers were buried. They take flowers there in Europe somewhere, but the black people don't have anywhere to go. Native Americans are there. So when somebody tells you you're gonna leave, you're gonna be kicked out, actually the policy they're using now, even themselves when they came in 1600, they couldn't be allowed into the US. So let us watch and see what is happening with this kind of policies. They are withdrawing from Paris Agreement. That is the third climate, change. Programs and funding and all that. And maybe Africans need to figure out other ways of surviving. Maybe we need to develop our own, because we have everything we need. And of course, they are the Western world and the foreigners are the big polluters.
but now they are moving. So in other words, they create a problem and they're leaving us with a problem. So that's one of the things that will definitely impact the programs that have been started, and now we may have to think of other ways of surviving. And my hope is that this is just American politics that will not have a big impact on us. But because Trump has been there before, we know what he's done before, and we know what he's capable of doing. I'm talking because personally, I was touched the last election. I was actually a victim of some of those orders or some of those policies. Withdrawal from World Health Organization, okay? So the funding that is coming towards Kenya will be definitely impacted. And finally, the national energy, they will definitely start the pollution. They're going to start drilling oil and everything else. And we all know that for a long time, this big energy industry wrote the policies, and tobacco and the rest, because they are the one with the money. And only that now, after a while, Americans and the rest of the world realize this was having health implications on people. What he has done is taken back that in the hands of those guys. They're going to run the show. Those rich folks, those people who are destroying the earth. So those are some of the key things that I think we have to watch and look at as he takes over the office. I hope some things will not be as bad, because some of these people will be so scared to do the things that they know will follow them. They are not all Trump, where they can get away with some of these things. So to Kenyans, let's watch. Let's begin to look at ourselves. And this is why I'm so happy that Baba is going to pray that it passes, because Africa has to begin thinking about itself. Remember, the size of Africa, US will go in there, China can disappear in it, all of them together. India, you can put it in there. France, Britain, Italy, Japan, and all that, you still put them in Africa. Africa is still extra land. Okay, all those countries appear in Africa. And that's how huge we are, because the current map of the world is a distortion of the truth, because they're looking at the world through Europe. So if it's a globe, it looks bigger on the side of Western Europe. And you think they're big, but they're so small countries. They're so tiny little countries. Africa's big. We have so much that we need to work on. We need to conserve. We need to let it work for us. And so Baba going there, we know his credential. We know the kind of person he is. He's not somebody who is, who is something we think is not. So that is a good thing. Now the problem we have is Kenya is Ruto. What do we do with this man if we don't need it? He's a problem, because now, of course, Haiti, we have a problem now. Big problem, and many other problems. So I will go on and on, but I don't want to go on. I want to stop here and maybe go back to Bernard, and Bernard can take us forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Reverend Lala. We appreciate that, your views on the matter, and we pray that some lawyers are saying that is hot air. We pray it will be hot air. But going forward, I think everybody should learn to stand and walk on their own feet as far as securing their future is concerned. Ladies and gentlemen, as we continue to engage, please make sure that you are doing the necessary, liking the video, participating in the poll question. We are asking you a very elaborate question that you need to respond to. Then I also want somebody to give views on the issue of the claim of the isolation of Mount Kenya. I was hoping Guru could come through, and so that we put that in proper perspective, because to me, I believe it could be just a trigger that is being pushed so that specific things take place in a certain way, but not necessarily an aspect of trying to segregate or discriminate against the community. Well, let's keep going. Tumlete Njiru naye achangie tukisonga mbele. Masaa ndio hayo.
So, Bernard, how are you?
Great. Welcome.
Yeah, asante sana. Nimeshukuru na mimi niko buheri wa afya, hasa kwa kuingia katika hili kongamano lako siku ya leo. Na kusalimia, nasalimia pia Lala. I hope he has been safe, because I know Lala is usually very busy. I hope California fire did not overwhelm him. So I hope Bwana Lala, you are under good time there, although I know fighting fires is not easy. Sijui kama ulikuwa pande ya California, Bwana Lala? Okay. Oh, uko mute.
Unmute Lala. We can't hear you. Unmute fast.
Oh, no, I didn't go to California. We're monitoring from here, but I've not been to California so far. There are more people there.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to give us an update ya your motto, sababu I know you are one of the people who are seriously involved in some of these disasters. So please, ukipata information kamili utuambie, because we know people do not have houses, and we saw it was really devastating. Away from that, let me go straight to the point. I always begin with the good meat before I go to the bad meat. Governments globally, serious governments, I'm not talking of useless governments. Serious governments are voted to serve the people of that nation. And as they serve the people of that nation, a government is voted with a mandate. So a government has never been a guesswork. So when somebody has been declared a winner, there is a mandate which that person is elected with. And that is why the winning mandate is the one which now has to be implemented. Now we have new sheriff in the town, Mr. Donald J. Trump. And I want to first of all explain some of the good things, because personally, I always like looking at things from what is good going to what is bad. It's only that the issues of Mr. Donald Trump, they get expired too much or over-politicized, because the nature in which people want to commit crime in the world has gone too high. So people just want leniency, even in the places whereby you need to do the right thing. For instance, Bwana Bernard, the southern border, that is the border of America between Mexico. Let me use the Mexican name now. The border between Mexico and the US, where close to 3 states, huge ones, share a very long border, was mismanaged by the outgoing government or by the other government. They decided people to enter carelessly. So, in other words, they opened that border. They removed all the checks which were supposed to be there. You could see the guns were assembling near the border. There were things which are evident. Caravans, for those people who understand caravans were had started, or were for the last 4 years, caravans were assembling there. So that is why there were executive orders, which were very mature, by the way, because they needed to protect their border in the south. So, and they need to protect their country. That is America. America needed to protect their country. So that was a very positive. Even in Kenya itself, we cannot allow Somalis to be closing our Garissa border anyhow. In the recent past, hata nimesikia Wakenya wakisema, ni watu nimesikia wakisema, I think we are having too much crossing in the Somali border. Na unasikia watu wakisema sijui. So that is one. Number two, na zile vitu watu wanaongea sana. Climate change. It's only that scholars have been unable to be honest, Bwana Bernard, but climate change cannot be predated. And I want to say this one not as a madman, but I want to explain, because it is so unfair that people have engaged in a propaganda which is robbing people livelihood. Let me explain why. When I was reading GHCR long time ago, even when I was doing geography in Form 2, when our books were written the right way, CSI, climate change is something which we used to say that climate change was only meaningful if it was 10,000 years and above. I'm saying things which were factual per that time. But propagandists and the people who wanted to rob the world their livelihood, they came and edited that time of 10,000 years to 100 years. So the truth of the matter is, all the researches which we have in climate change have not been fact-checked. And I'm sorry to say this, that one might sound like a wild statement, but the truth of the matter is that, Bwana Bernard, that's a very bold statement I'm putting here, and I will say it here. Climate change has, as presented now, I'm not saying that climate change is not there, but climate change as presented now is a propaganda. So we need that climate change which has true information and true data. And we do not have climate change, people following climate. Yes, I know we need to protect our environment, but we cannot be protecting our environment as we rob people livelihood. What are we supposed to do? There is oil. There is all the other things which we need to do. Why can't we, like, for example, we produce refuse. Let me explain that. Refuse is one of the environment contaminant. Can we stop from producing refuse? No, we can't. What we do is safe handling of refuse. That is what we are supposed to do in life. Even in the world, we cannot we cannot terminate people's life. We tell people you are not going to produce oil because this oil is going to affect the climate and you have to stop life. And that time you need to know that close to over 50% of the world and almost everybody relies on fossil fuel. That is why, because they didn't want us to use fossil fuel, they had now started telling us, wewe utumie gari ya stima, sijue utumie nini. Like we had gotten constricted. Bwana Lala, it is my time, utatulia kidogo. Wacha tu nigonge tu yangu, tuko wawili hapa, utakuja kujibu. Niruhusu tu nigonge sababu mimi natakanga kugonga kabisa. Nikiamua kuweka point. So, climate change needs serious scientists. We are not claiming that climate change is not there, but we cannot continue following something which has been propagandized in the name of we have to protect the environment. The environment has to be protected. We cannot destroy the environment. So if we have an industry, we are producing gas chemicals, it is us to know how we are going to reduce those chemicals into levels in which they are not harmful. And the science has provided details of doing that. So, Bwana Bernard, I don't know the reason why scientists don't want to use those methods of reducing harmfulness in the nature, but rather they are telling us, stop using these products. Stop doing this. And as you are telling us to stop using those things are available. They are there for us to use as availed by God. Actually, it is going against the principle of nature, telling me not to use what God has created. Yeah, those are the same things where they're even telling us a man and a woman should not be together. Everything is unnatural. So what I say is that now there was the issue of male and female. It was done an executive order. Crazy things, Bwana Bernard. Can you imagine in the 21st century, we have to be told who a man is and who a female is? And the same people who have been on this propaganda of not knowing who a man and who a female is, they were the same people who are telling us, vote for a woman. How do they know that this person is a woman, yet they are propagating issues which are not either male or female, or they want to call themselves they. Bernard, can you imagine coming here and telling me that you are they, Bernard? That is what they were telling us a few days ago. So those are some of the things. So what Mr. T is doing is cleansing a very contaminated system. He is cleansing. The issue of, because I know that is the part of the thing which there is a lot of uproar, especially from begging countries like ours. For your information, there is no country which deserves to be a beggar. Africans don't deserve to be beggars. All the time tunasemanga tuko na vitu, sijui we are the most developed continent, sisi ndio tuko na kila kitu. Why can't we develop our things? Why are we crying when people say that they are going to concentrate with their taxpayers? Bernard, remember, a government is always a shareholder. Na hapo sitatoka. A government is a shareholding. When people go to the ballot, and as we always say, election have consequences. There's no way in which Mr. Trump will abandon his voters. And he now start now serving even the people who actually wanted him to be jailed. So his priority is to serve the people who went to the ballot for him. In America, the American election is an issue election. When people go to election in America, they go to vote an issue. There is somebody who went in America to vote for the issue of gender. There is somebody who went to America to vote because he doesn't want men participating in women's sport. There is somebody who did not want extreme taxation. There is somebody who did not want all that insanity which was happening in the government to continue. And because now the president has gotten the mandate, the president has to respect the voice that voted for him. That is why you always see in America, immediately after the election, whether it is a Democrat or a Republican or whoever, the first executive orders are for the shareholders, because the shareholders have to feel valued. Shareholders, every government is a shareholding. Let me tell you that, Bernard, is a shareholding. We don't have a government which does not have, there are people who contribute more than others. Because remember, there are those people who vote for you and there are those people who do not vote for you. Yes, you are not there to harm those people who do not vote for you, but you are there to work on the ideologies of the people who voted for you. Because an election is millions of people coming together and proposing one of them to propagate their agenda. That is what an election is. So it is one man working for over 75 million people who are thinking on the same thing. And those are the first people who you have to serve. We are not saying the other close to half the nation does not need services. They would always need the services. But you cannot jeopardize the people who have voted for a government in the name of you now want to serve other people. Let's continue. Now, Africa.
Bwana Njiru, you are throwing a lot of issues that are not clear. I thought voting was to decide who leads the nation and not buying shares who gets served first. You will need to clear that for me, because I think the difference between the Democrats and the Republican, talking about America, is in their way of leading. We are all taking care of a child called America, but there are those who want to wash the head first before the feet, and there are those who want to wash the feet first before the head. That's the difference. But the same child is America, is just being led by a different person. But if it is all about we should take care of our shareholders first before anyone else, then it is discriminatory and it's not speaking on the values of democracy or governance that is just. So this shareholding, I think, is being overstretched.
Let me talk about the issue of shareholding, Bernard. When you get into power in the democracies, let me talk of democracies, not aristocracies is where people get 96%. In America, the vote is like 54%, 40 something, or 52, 40 something. So it's a close divide. So what does that mean? That means you have gotten 52% of the vote, and this 52% of the vote is the mandate. That is the mandate. Bernard, let's not bury our heads in the sand. The 49% did not want you. They had their own mandate. So I've now won the election. And that is why, let me tell you, there is no any president, including Ruto. Let me explain to you here. Even Ruto, if Ruto did what according to what the mandate was given, no one would be having problems with him. The problem which Ruto is having in Kenya, and I will explain that here now, is that Ruto did a Bautan. There is no way, Bernard, in which you will not serve the people who have, those are the priority. You are not, the people did not give you a mandate. And I'm explaining this.
What is the mandate? The mandate is governance. This governance is Ngoja. Ngoja kwanza. You I think you want to push something down our throat that
the mandate is the people who voted for
I
you.
have listened to you, listen to my question, then you respond to it. Okay? Let us get the balance here. You have participated in an election which is competitive, okay? But the competition is for you to get in power and take care of the country. It is not for you to get into power and serve the people that voted for you. Now, the moment you begin to say you will give priority to those that voted for you, you're already discriminating, and that is unjust in the first place. And then you are insisting on that as a standard. It can't be a standard anywhere because I don't see which law supports that, which constitution supports that. So you need to clear that for me. What I know as the purpose of leadership is provide proper governance to the entire country, not for you to begin with the watu wako wale kuvotia kwanza alafu uanze hao wengine. The moment there is segregation, you are already unjust and you are unfit for national leadership. And this is part of what we have as a problem back here, that we have a particular section of this country that takes hostage of the presidents. And the moment they have that hostage, the presidents as hostage, now they can make him do what they want him to do, other than do what the constitution requires him to do in terms of providing leadership to the country. You are an educationalist. When you take on a new school, you've been transferred from Mang boys, ukapelekwa Dagoretti, wherever, Dagoretti boys. Do you now get there and say the people who participated in me being transferred to Dagoretti will be given priority, their children will be given priority first before any other student is taken care of? And when you get to Dagoretti, do you go and change the syllabus to suit your leadership, or you perpetuate the education system that is currently operational and serving those students equally in that particular school?
Okay, Bwana Bernard, I think let's understand how politics works, especially in America. Kenyan one is a bit confused, so don't use the Kenyan standard in American one. You know, in America, there is usually that rotation of power. There is usually sometimes Democrats will come. So, do you want to tell me that? Do you want Trump to implement Democrat policies? Is that what you want?
American policies according to American Constitution, not Democrat nor Republican. If the Republican policies are going against the American Constitution, they should be dropped. If Democrats policies are going against the American Constitution, they should be dropped. The balance here should be when what you are proposing and what I'm proposing is in any way not in line with the Constitution. What the Constitution says should carry the day.
According to you, because I want to understand you, according to you, what is wrong that Trump has done? You know his policies. What is wrong? What do you disagree with?
I've not said in any way that I disagree or agree with Trump. Okay, I'm simply saying what you are saying, that Trump should take care of the people that voted for him first,
absolutely,
before other people.
100.
That is what I disagree with.
I want to clear my point, Bernard. Let me clear my point. This is how politics works. This is how politics works. And this is the reason why Ruto will fail flat. And I'm very happy of his new romance, which is doing. Let me tell you, in politics, you never jeopardize the people who put you in power. It is called the royal political base. You don't jeopardize that. That one is the blue baby, which you have always to take care of. As you take care of other people, you cannot throw away your kids. Hata wewe bana disai ukitajirika, ngoja kidogo utajirike sana uko na mapesa mingi, you cannot come to take care of my kids and na wako tumbo nje wana nguo. You will only show capacity that you can take care of my kids because your kids are well taken care of. What do I mean? What I mean is that in November 5, when Americans went to the election, they said that, what did they say? They said that we do not want parents to be called terrorists. We want parents to be responsible of their kids. We don't want our border to be ignored. We don't want to participate in things which are not clear. We don't want to participate in WHO. And we are not sure of the things which are happening there. WHO, up to today, they have not explained where COVID came from. Up to today, they have not explained, and they have not held whoever brought COVID to the world liable, accountable. And I'm very proud today when WHO is deprived of resources until it becomes that big institution which can stand for the truth that it just. We just witnessed death of close to 10 million people globally, and WHO has not given any exit report of how people died in 2020 from a disease which has been proven that it was laboratory sent. And now WHO want more money so that they can continue remaining silent, so that we can get a second unleashing of another second wave of a disease which we don't know. They will not be funded. They can be funded by China. They can be funded by Russia. They can be funded by Japan if they want. But the US will only fund things which make sense to them. For your information, even their own taxpayers need assistance. It is not that everybody in the US is okay, is good, is having a good life. They are having a million of people struggling there too. They need healthcare. They need food, they need housing. There's a lot which is, they need subsidies like any other person. They need business. They need wanahitaji hata kuangaliwa na serikali yao. So even as the US is trying to show opulence, like the opulence which I saw being shown by my early brothers, simply because now choppers can be able now to go to Suba. Now they are saying that those people to continue with that behavior. Because the US has no capacity to show opulence when its own citizens are suffering. They cannot continue to fund wars, Bwana, while their own people need service. They need to modernize their infrastructure. It needs money. They need to modernize their airports. It needs money. They need a lot of stuff to happen in there. It is not like that. It's not like the US is a heaven in paradise. They have their own problems. They have their own needs. It's only that some of their leaders have been ignoring those things and showing how big they are. And the truth of the matter is that close to a half of the nation has been suffering. Some people in other nations, Saudi Arabia, Arabic nations, they have been able to live a better life than people in the US because they are allowed to exploit their oil. They are allowed to do all the things which the US is being curtailed to do. Let's have a uniform world. If you don't want US to exploit oil, let everybody not exploit its oil. But we cannot be having sacred people whereby we are giving China a clear path. Tunawaambia nyinyi mkae hivi lakini hao wengine wakae hivi. It cannot be business as usual. Mr. Trump is right. There is an issue which again people are propagandizing. As I finish,
naomba Bwana Njiru, unafungua chapter mingi. Naomba urelax, hiyo chapter utafungua baadaye. Ngoja kwanza. Sija kuita ufanye lecture. Here we are supposed to debate. You want to lecture. Please relax
Wewe tu
kwanza.
ungesema watu waingie, lakini ulisema Njiru specifically. Tulia, wewe ndio
Ngoja.
umeniita.
Njiru, wewe nilitaka kwanza, uko hapa, you are still campaigning for Trump when Trump is already in office.
You asked for
Let
it.
Trump stay in office.
You asked for
we
it.
give him
Bernard,
two,
you
we
asked for
give
it.
him 2 years. Ngoja, we give him 2 years. Kama utakuwa bado unainua hiyo bendera yake
I
ukisema
have been with this
ndio
guy
hiyo,
from 2002.
then I will agree with you. In the meantime, fanya hivi tafadhali Njiru, hold your horses. We are coming back to you as we chase time. I want Eli to have some time to make his contribution. I make some official announcement there after we will have the last word before we call it a day. Eli, come in, please.
Thank you. Bernard, I wanted to say one or two things about the recent developments in the United States, but I think it will just become a repeated conversation, because in this one here, everyone has sides, even if they don't understand the true picture of what is happening in America, especially someone who lives in America like Njiri. I feel very sorry for him. I totally disagree with him on his direction about Donald Trump. But because I'm not an American voter, I really don't care about Donald Trump. I wanted to say my contribution tonight is something that might shock the viewers about my opinion and views about William Ruto. I personally don't, acknowledge Ruto as my president. Yes. Even though I have dual citizenship, I know the only political right I have for electing is electing as presidential candidate and not MPs and things like that. But I wanted to say that there is something which I clearly am starting to accept and agree with, only because it is not only William Ruto and his bunch of politicians who were promoting it, but also Martha Karua and Raila Odinga. And for me, I have personal reasons why I want to declare my support for the new social security reforms in Kenya, especially with the health sector. I am saying this because, number one, before you set up a social security system where you are expecting people to pay or enroll and get free medication or free medical services, there are so many economic issues you have to consider. So, for example, what is the general population? Are we a young population, a working population? Are there so many people retiring, or is it a booming population where there are actually jobs, so that those people can actually afford to contribute to this social security system or healthcare system that is that came into reality after NHIF was abandoned, right? Now we know that NHIF was only supporting a small population of Kenyans. Now this so-called social health system that is managed by the Social Health Authority, they said in November that up to 14 million, so between 13 to 14 million Kenyans had enrolled their names in the system. There's been a large outcry that the system is not working. Ruto has been running around the country saying that they will basically do a means-tested way of identifying who will get total free treatment, who will contribute 200, maybe some will contribute 1,000, and then this system will work like that. That one there, of course, there is issues about corruption and how that will be effected. Personally, I don't think that this is a Ruto genius thing, that this social healthcare system. It's not William Ruto who was the person who purported this idea. No, but I think that it is a very welcome thing. Kenyans should espouse it. Personally, I can give you a story. Yeah, very brief. On 20th of December last year, that's just over 1 month ago, I was in a very, very bad critical condition, as with my type 1 diabetic condition. And the paramedics were struggling to, to literally get me to breathe and get back to life. Literally, the first time I had such a terrible episode, let's say in 12 years, even though I've been type 1 diabetic since I was much younger, in childhood. So what I'm saying is this: my experience, those ambulance services that came to my house and saved my life at 5 in the morning, within 6 to 7 minutes, and I'm just an ordinary person, is the same experience Kenyans should be able to afford in years to come. And I say this because even these countries that have this social security system tied to the taxes they pay, whatever contribution or no contribution, they have this, they also started from a hard place, like Kenya. Ours is mainly affected by corruption. How we are going to implement this thing without failure, without any hiccups, is how we're going to deal with corruption. This is the problem. But now in the UK, for example, and this is way back in 1946, when it was first muted in their parliament by a Welsh politician called Aaron Bevan, who decided that this country has gone through war, Second World War. Most people are broke. They cannot afford healthcare. That time they were paying a lot of money in 1946 to see a doctor. People just died. They didn't even go to see it. They didn't go for treatment because they could not afford it, and they were just coming out of war, the Second World War. So this guy decided that enough is enough. I know this might not be popular with other people, but we have to do it. So it went through the Parliament of the UK, and in 1948 they established it as a social security system, including healthcare, right? And it's there until today, right? So you pay your tax. As a taxpayer, you go and avail free general practitioner, doctor services, and so on and so forth. This is nothing that we can say is impossible in Kenya, right? Because there will be some difficulties. For example, a lot of our people in Kenya are not working. Young people, there is no employment. So where will the taxation come from? Like, say, for example, income tax, so that the state can get this money, because that will be the first direct way, apart from budgets coming from treasury and so on. The only other way is to collect taxes from working people. And this is a big, big problem, right? Now, we don't have like a huge retiring population, people in their 70s, 80s in Kenya. So there's no, in terms of a social security that will pay these people, the benefits they call it, it's not big money, because we don't have a huge retiring population, right? And when I say retiring, I mean those who are very old. I'm not talking about 55 onwards. So some people would think that I'm making a joke here about this, but I am really serious, because this is one thing that we should take very seriously. Sometimes it comes from the devil, Mr. Ruto, speaking about we should stop. This will help us to stop Harambe's, funds drives for sending people to India for medical care and things like that. also it will stop people who have been victims of blackmail or things like this, where they're being told that so and so is in a hospital in let's say Voi or whatever. You're living in the diaspora, you send money, that person is enjoying drinks in some pub in Voi. This happens, and it's a daily occurrence to people who live in the diaspora. Also, people who are living in Kenya, they get tricked like this, So if we had a system which these people are proposing, that people should just enroll, and we test these people within the next 3-4 years, are they serious? Let's see the result of this thing, right? It's in its initial place, and people are complaining that it's not working. But let's see if it will work. I personally, this is the only thing that I am supported in whatever this regime is trying to do, because Kenyans are in a very, very bad place in terms of social security. When Kina Raila and Martha Karua, especially Raila, saying that when he was prime minister, he knew where the money was. He could identify where the money is. He is going to propose a 6,000 shillings per month payment. It's small money, but some Kenyans don't even see it ever. And he said that this would be geared at single mothers and people who are not at work and so on and so forth. People refuse to listen to that. But at least this one of healthcare, I believe that it is something that is very, very important. And I think people should take it very, very seriously. I don't care about William Ruto. I'm saying this particular item, agenda, personally, I feel that should be taken very, very seriously. And that's my contribution, what I wanted to say in terms of going forward. It's going to annoy people, but because people look at Ruto.
It's not just annoying people. It's a matter of we need to seek clarity. One, I have shared here that my first job after high school was selling insurance, and I walked around. I was selling Medvac, trying to convince people to buy the policy, and wasn't very fruitful. I think I walked around for about 3 or 4 months without securing one client. So I decided to carry the files back to that office and say, enough is enough. Our people have said they don't fall sick. And if they fall sick, they don't even need medical care. But what I'm saying is, NHF was an insurance system that was securing specific group of Kenyans in their medical coverage. Was it necessary to do away with NHF so that we start SHA? That leaves a very big question mark, because as I was selling Medvac, there was Britam, there is this other one, Alson, there was an American one, and all that. Those were selling the same, almost same policy, but they were competing for the market. If SHA was meant to help Kenyans and get everybody on board, did it need to kill NHF first in order for it to take its life from NHF? And if that's the case, why?
Okay, I have a problem with this idea that NHIF was some kind of not perfect, but was some kind of a good thing, because not how many people had NHIF on their side. This is a big issue. We have to consider that this particular thing that they are proposing, whether it was Raila's team in the campaigns or of Ruto, this is something that is different from the NHIF. You've heard these people saying, and this is why I'm saying we must test and see if what they're saying is really making sense in the next 2-3 years. These people are saying that if a person enrolls, say Mzee Mongare hapo anapiga kelele kwa chat hapo, so say Mongare decided, yeah, ama kijana Mongare, he is decided, yeah, he wants to enroll because Kina Ruto are saying that people should enroll, right, into this system. But Mongare is not even producing even mere bananas or avocados or all those things that are ripe in Kisii or tea. This guy is broke. So this is what they're saying. So you just go and enroll. In the hospital, they will decide. Now, if this, I know you're laughing, Bernard, because we Kenyans, we don't do
but the issue is not enroll, okay? The issue
Wait, I finish. Yeah. Wait, I finish.
You will answer both.
Okay, go ahead.
For example, NHF, I had taken insurance for my mom. My mom is elderly, so she needs to be taken care of. Okay. Then we are told we are now shifting from NHF to SHA. All right. And meaning, najua kwamba was it 500 every month? So najumulisha hiyo yote, nalipa mara moja, kishamaliza January, najua mama healthcare is taken care of until December. Then in the middle of nowhere, there comes this animal called SHA. Okay. Then SHA is able to transfer my mother's name, okay, from NHF to SHA, but not the money I contributed. So how does that work in the first place? And where do I now get my money? Because I had already paid for full year insurance for my mother, and you are transferring him to this system, to the new system, but the money disappears in between.
Okay.
Hey.
So what you're saying is they're not fine-tuning anything. They need to fine-tune this thing. What are you telling me that NHIF did not have corruption?
It had. In fact, the only excuse Ruto is giving for removing NHF is that corruption aspect. Okay?
Yeah.
Of which, in my understanding, corruption is a crime.
Yeah.
So if you have noted that there is corruption in the place, all you need to do is investigate, get the culprits, make them pay. It is not do away with the whole system because some people are taking advantage of it. And if those advantages are like what you said, Raila said, anajua loopholes, kule pesa zinapoteleanga, ataziba, akiingia kwa ofisi. Now you know where the corruption is. You only need to get into the NHF and block those loopholes so that the system gets secure. And first and foremost, it secures the people who are on the system first. Okay? So that when we are looking for these new ones we are recruiting, we are adding to the system. But it appears SHA only got into NHF to withdraw, to take the names and leave the money in the wrong hands. And then when you register in SHA, you begin to contribute afresh. They don't remember what you contributed in NHF. So to me, it's a system of making Kenyans pay twice for the same bill. Okay? And even when they pay, and even when
so how do you think that is going to be sorted? That particular problem, what you're saying?
As long as this SHA is not well thought through, it's going to collapse along the way. You know how long NHF has been here? From the 60s.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
So if NHF had problems, even after being here from the 60s, okay?
Yeah.
This one you started yesterday.
Okay, so the reason, I will emphasize this. The reason why I brought this subtopic is because, for me, I think that and this SHA is very universal, yeah. Whereas NHIF is not universal. So you have a situation where you're trying to democratize healthcare. making it possible for majority of people to be aligned to it. Okay, and you're saying that people who are resident in Kenya, legally or whatever you want to call it, citizens or people born in Kenya and so on, they can access this service. It's a universal thing. Like, these people are not saying that in the way they should say it. And people, we still have our own stigmas and our own superstitions. Like you said something quite interesting there. That is, some people back in the village would say, as we don't get sick. You even hear some people saying, I've never been to a hospital. They're lying like that openly. They've never been to a hospital. Okay, so where do they go to? A rich doctor or some kind of those fake Tanzanian herbalists, And I'm into traditional African medicine, but bro, what I'm saying is, and please, I'm not telling you to publicize it. That Ellie is saying this, so please let's promote this. This is my personal opinion, right? And I keep drumming about what I see when I go back home. And, the state of, say, for example, Homa Bay Hospital is deplorable, But these guys, they paint the hospital. When you see kina Gladys Wanga, yani unasikia watu ati Gladys Wanga, and I have no problem with this particular politician, but there's too much PR, and Ruto's regime suffers that problem. Too much PR. So that's the messaging they're giving people, scares people. But if you look into the actual issue, yani mimi sielewi kwa sababu gani watu hawataki free healthcare. Hiyo sijui. Hata kama mtu anakuambia ati kuna free healthcare na hakuna madawa. Si wende kwanza. Ati?
Ulikunywa maziwa ya nyaya?
Si ndio bwana, wewe acha.
Maziwa ya nyaya ilikuwa free ama was it universal?
Bwana, that thing was a joke. Maziwa ya nyaya was a joke, bwana. You had this thing coming to your school once or twice a week, or some thing like that.
What I'm saying is that the government was paying the bill, the children were taking milk. Okay? And the only thing you needed to take the milk is be a student in a school. All right? People are not rejecting universal health care. People are rejecting the mode by which the government is introducing universal health care. One, they say you have to register first. Okay? I'm already a registered citizen of Kenya. I'm on an ID. Okay? I have international passport. I'm already registered with the government. There is no details about me that the government doesn't have. All right? So why should they demand me to register on an insurance scheme, okay, that is being propagated by the government before the government gives me universal health care? If that universal health care is a provision of a government service to its citizen, it should just be the hospitals are stocked, doctors are there, but this particular service for free universal health care is strictly for Kenyans. So the only identity you need to produce at the hospital is that you are a Kenyan, so that foreigners will be put on another system where they will pay. Now, if I have to go and register again, now get the SHA card, okay, add to my D card, add my international passport on top. Why all this? Okay, and if I'm not required to pay, why should I now be put on that list? If it's free, let it be free. If it's paid, it be paid for. Then next, on the same thing is, let the Kenyans should have been given a choice. Okay, those who want to shift from NHF to shift voluntarily to SHA. Okay, and those who want to remain in NHF should be left where? In NHF. But if you carry all of us and dump us in one place and say everybody should register, there is a sinister motive. It's not that Kenyans are suspicious.
Okay, I'll leave that. Anyway, those are my opinions. And then my second submission was, and it's going to be very quick, is about the the way these so-called parastatals have been, some of them have been shut down as per Ruto's cabinet recommendations. I think when you look at the newspapers, there are over 270 something parastatals. Personally, I've never been a fan of parastatals because I believe that they're duplicating what the private sector or the state or the government is doing. The parastatals are just, a revolving door syndrome where hiyo kura ukishindwa unapelekwa huko uende sijui chairman sijui wa nini water company sijui Nairobi water sijui nini hizo zote. It's like a political game. So parastatals for me, I believe that they should have been dealt with properly, including the option of closing down even 80% of the parastatals because they make no sense. These are the things that hata unakumbuka wakati wa Gen Z or the youth revolution, June 25th, those are the things that people were demanding should stop. A lot of these parastatals, you see these people driving around the fuel guzzlers, they're doing nothing. Kuna parastatals in counties that don't even have water, So I believe that, and again, I don't know if this is something you can say the Ruto government, or is it a plan that was also in the offing for Kina Raila Odinga in the campaigns? I don't know. But I hope that if these parastatals are going to be closed down, and I don't like to see people losing jobs because that's a very, me as a socialist, I don't believe in, penalizing people for other people's wrong decisions. So these people can be housed in other jobs, or they can apply for jobs and be considered. Something needs to. They need to try to find a solution to this problem, especially for the young workers who have been who were absorbed in these parastatals. They could be absorbed elsewhere rather than now them losing their jobs completely. So that was my second submission. And then the last submission is Donald Trump. As I said, I'm not really interested. Is a thoroughly disgusting person. The only thing I know of Donald Trump that has worked in the past is that I believe that he's the only American president who you can say has never started an international conflict or a war, in any parts of the world. I don't know if he's a true pacifist, but other than that, I think he's a thoroughly disgusting political leader. And some of the executive orders that I've read today that he has done that will affect even the international geopolitics is just unbelievable. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Bwana Eli. We appreciate that. And I think on the issue of parastatals needs to be looked at closely, in the sense that parastatals are never established to be for political appointment. They're supposed to offer specific service in the interest of the Kenyan people at an affordable cost, if there is any, compared to the commercial services that are being offered, if they are offering the same service with the other commercial places. But what has become of our parastatals is they become a dumping place where we get incompetent people who failed in the elections to go there and do nothing and be used as a place for collecting money. But some of these parastatals have been here for long. Some of them own properties. Those properties are in their name, like NHF has buildings, has houses, has lands, okay, has investments. The moment you do away with the NHF, it ceases to be a legal name, okay? What happens to the properties that were constructed and built in that name? What happened to the contracts and the liabilities and the assets that are owned in that name? So this winding up of parastatals without the involvement of the parliament and the participation of Kenyans, to me, it's just another place where we have now gotten three things to take. The way we took away properties for Kenya Railways, when we changed Kenya Railway to Rift Valley Railway for a while and converted all the properties that were in the name of Kenya Railway into something else, and then came back with the... well, I am not comfortable with the Ruto administration presiding over the winding up of parastatals, because I don't see anything coming from it except the fact that they changed the name, but they took over the properties, and the public properties ended up being transferred to private ownership, and that's all that is needed. The same way they are doing with National Bank, they are doing with the, I understand Kenya Teleposta is being taken over. They want to take over KICC, take over the airport, things like that. Now, all this, in my understanding, is all geared to doing going commercial as a government at the expense of the service-oriented government that we have had all along.
100%. I believe that those forms of those kind of bodies or agencies that were supposed to provide services should be left untouched by the private sector. That one ninakubali. Lakini kuna hii kitu inaitwa parastatal. It's just they need to redefine what is it we want to do. Alafu kama these things could be worked in such a way by the state directly. There's some of the parastatals, but hata ukiona jina ya hiyo parastatal, you think, how did they even create this one?
There was one for mosquitoes and pyrethra. I don't know, please. Just some of the names are disgusting. But all in all, thank you, Eli. I want us to call it a day because we are really time bad, but tutamsikiliza Njiru kwanza. Njiru, tunaomba tafadhali ukija ukue precise and to the point. But kabla ya hapo, ningependa kuwakumbusha kwamba I'm visiting Frank, our guy who was shot during the Gen Z protest. He took 6 bullets for us. I wanted us to take care of him. He's in a dire need of a better place to live. He went back to the slum because he couldn't, after being discharged from the hospital, couldn't get support to live in a good place. So being in the slum places his life at risk. Remember, it's a security issue, as well as his health complications cannot be quickly addressed from the slum. So I was encouraging some of us who are able to do that, please get in touch with me on WhatsApp so that we come up with a WhatsApp group and be able to pull together some resources, get him to move from the slum, get him a room somewhere where he can be easily access. He can easily access the hospital if we need to, and then of course maybe set up a kiosk for him to do some business, or introduce him to online business where he can comfortably earn something for himself, so that he can be weaned from support. I don't believe in supporting forever, but in his condition, we really need to come in handy and support him. So tafadhali, if you are one of those that want to do that, get in touch with me on WhatsApp. I'll be visiting with him on Saturday. And so tutachukua daka ya shopping yake, sio leo, kesho kutwa. Okay? But I really want us to secure, I mean, that is just one person, but doing for one person is better than doing nothing. We know we have lost lives, we have lost families. There are people who are still missing today because of that. But at least we located this one. We went and saw him, supported him initially on his medication. He's now discharged, I think we should pick up from there and help him get back on his feet and be able to stand for himself. So tafadhali, I really want us to be on the forefront on the same. So tafadhali tutekeleze hiyo kwa utu wema tu na kwa upendo wa Mungu. Haya, Bwana Njiru, utatutamatishia ukitujibu maswali na ujaongelea kuhusu Mrima. Hii maneno isolation ya Mrima pia kwa ukifutu.
Yeah. Sawa Bernard. Mrima huna shida, nyinyi ndio mko na shida. Mrima has never had issues of being isolated or not. So watu wa Mrima wako sawa. Wale watu ambao wanakuanga na shida wakikuwa isolated ni watu wa ziwa. I think but for us sisi watu wa Mlima, tuachwe tusiachwe, we are okay. So tunajua watu wa ziwa
na maisha ziwa lipi wewe chunga sana.
Anyway, so bana ni mlinikata, so leo lazima mniruhusu niongee. So in fact don't worry of Mlima. Mlima has always incarnated many times, even when the time when Mlima is at its lowest, unakutanga tu imeripuka tu tena. So there will be a volcano. That's all what I will tell you, Bwana Banan. And the truth of the matter is that if there will be 2027, Mlima will be the gunning point. Yeah, if we have to gun Zakayo, as you are saying that, we will begin by gunning him from Mlima Kenya. So mambo mingi muache. Sisi tuko na dawa, sisi watu wa Mlima tunajuanga mabepari wanatolewa aje. So hiyo experience na skill tuko nayo. So I can see Bwana Eli, some people in Suba are concentrating with opulence. Na tumesema waendelee na kuconcentrate na opulence. Nyinyi mtuachie Zakayo, we will deal with him. Sisi watu ya Maumau. Bwana Eli, and I'm very serious by the way. Sisi watu ya Maumau, we don't need assistance. Huyu mtu tunawamalizia yeye mara moja. Nimemaliza story ya Mlima sababu unajua wewe bwana, you wanted to promote.
Watoto wa mama, ngoja tu kidogo unakuja. Wacha tusikilize watu wa Mlima.
Now, President William Ruto has notably kept a low profile in the Mount Kenya region, a departure from his usual political engagements, as political temperatures in the region rise to sweltering levels ahead of the 2027 elections. Following his fallout with former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, the president appears to have turned his attention to Nyanza and Western regions, raising questions about the region's role in the next political matrix. Jeff Kirui examines the unfolding dynamics.
Ati baada sasa ya William, ati sasa tena hiyo mlima imeteleza na itateleza milele. Na sisi tuko hapa na mlima ambayo ni imara.
The impeachment of Rigathi Gachagua's deputy president triggered political tremors across Mount Kenya, unsettling the once close ties between the region and President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza administration. Before the fallout, Mount Kenya was President Ruto's stronghold, with frequent visits underscoring its pivotal role in his rise to power. However, since the political split, the president has largely avoided the region, instead redirecting his focus to Nyanza and Western.
When that mheshimiwa ya Western anasema ati Mount Kenya itakuwa isolated, that is not the MP speaking. That is William Ruto. That is his plan.
Number 22151, or you can use our social media account on X at KTN News.
The broad-based arrangement against other Kenyans, or against any region, or against any community, or against any person.
President Ruto's last visit to Mount Kenya was in November last year during the Episcopal ordination and installation of Bishop Peter Kimani Ndung'u in Embu. The event revealed cracks in his support base as the congregation remained silent during his address, instead giving a warm and heroic reception to Gachagua and former President Uhuru Kenyatta.
Our former Deputy President, who is also here.
Since then, Ruto has strategically shifted his efforts elsewhere. Bolstered by the incorporation of Raila Odinga into his administration, the president is realigning his political alliance ahead of 2027 polls, focusing on Nyanza and Western regions.
Siku moja nilisaidia Gwambo. Na si safari hii ya Gwambo amenisaidia. Nyinyi mnaona iko makosa hapo? Iko makosa. Tuendelee ama tuendelee? Tuunganishe Kenya. Tuondoe chuki. Tuondoe migawanyiko. Na wale wote wafisadi na wakora waende wapi?
In October last year, Ruto camped in Nyanza for 4 days shortly after Gachagua's impeachment. Currently, he is on a 6-day development tour of Western Kenya, part of a charm offensive to consolidate support in the region.
We are uniting with all Kenyans because in unity there is strength. In fact, God commands us that where there is unity, God commands a blessing.
The visit comes after Ruto and Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi agreed to merge their political parties UDA and ANC in a bid to solidify their alliance ahead of the next general election. Jeff Kirui, Kate.
Bwana Njiru, ni William Ruto anaongea.
Okay, mimi bana ninataka uniruhusu vizuri sasa niongee because nataka kukuambia. I want to tell you as somebody who can see this politics better than Ruto. I'm here and I can see it better than Ruto. Bernard, in this life, and it is a lesson which people need to pick. Number one, you don't jeopardize the people. Ni kama vile tunasemanga hata nyumba ya mama wa kwanza unairudianga na machozi. The fact that Mr. Ruto, na nilisema hapa by the way, Ruto, the only obligation which Ruto needed to do was to serve the shareholders. And I have no problem with that. Sababu sasa, ameshindwa na kuserve wale watu walimpigia kura. He has now decided to look for a new place to go and lie. Remember, Bwana Ruto cannot lie in Mount Kenya again. And you know, Bwana Ruto, there's no any truth which comes from his mouth. So, hata hiyo story ya Bwana Ruto kutoenda Mount Kenya, I'm not amused. Sababu, uongo imefika mwisho huko. So the only people he can use to lie on his behalf ni watu kama akina Maina Njenga, watu kama Mutahi Kagwe. So he needs proxy to lie on his behalf. But Mlima Kenya hawezi kwenda kudanganya watu huko, uongo ilifika mwisho. Where is Ruto now able to lie? Ruto has capacity. Unajua watu wa Nyanza hawajai experience uongo ya Ruto. To them, they feel ni manukato to some extent. I was so shocked, and nasijui Bwana Bernard, kwa nini hujatuchezea hiyo video ya hao wazee wawili waliona hao cabinet secretary wawili wakiwa wanaanguka na machopa ama wakiwa wanaradi na machopa huko, na wanaanzia kusema we encourage our people to continue with this behavior because it is very good. We have never experienced power any other time. So according to them, they have no problem of experiencing power, even if that power they are getting it from a murderer. That is the problem which I'm having with some of my Nyanza brothers who are now saying that we will vote for Ruto. Hata nyinyi mlimpigia ile wakati. So for them, they don't care whether they will be voting for him. Yeah, it is true. I agree. Overwhelmingly, watu mlima Kenya wamepigia Ruto na wamejuta na wamesema wataki story yake, lakini kuna watu Nyanza wanasema sisi tutampigia hata sisi sasa. That is what they are saying. Lakini tunasema anyway, they can continue and do whatever they want. We will not push people. Hatutasukumilia mtu kama mtu amechukua kamba na anataka kujinyonga, hatutamwambia usijinyonge. Let them go ahead and do it. But how is Mount Kenya doing? Mount Kenya region is a region which, by the way, learns very fast. Bwana Ruto hata afanye nini, he will not be able to. Maybe we are even advising him, by the way, don't waste your time going to Mount Kenya again. Hakuna kura unaweza pata huko. Wewe enda kwa wale watu ambao hujaweza danganya wao kabisa. Look for political cons, cheat them. That is why hata watu kama akina Uhuru wamejaribu kupenetrate Mount Kenya, wanaona iwezekani. So in a nutshell, what I say, Bernard, is Mr. Ruto can only lie to people who he has never lied to again, who think that kuna kitu atafanya. Na muonaona huko sijui anaingia kwa mashamba ya miwa, ati anajifanya. He is now announcing bonuses as if wakati ulikuwa unauza miwa yako, you didn't deserve to earn any money. Cheap politics. Mimi, I don't want to concentrate with the Mount Kenya issue. Nilikuwa nikitaka kumalizia story yangu ya Marekani because it is important, Bernard. Bernard, when people go to an election, you go to an election because there are issues you want to be done to you. The reason why I was supporting Odinga, and that's why I don't crucify Ruto. The reason why I wanted Odinga to win, ni sababu nilikuwa najua ngiri sita itaanguka. He had committed to solve corruption. And I was waiting. In the case Raila Odinga was to be announced the winner, hizo ndizo zile vitu nilikuwa inabidi afanye, because mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa nimemtuma kufanya hizo vitu. So Mr. William Ruto aliwekwa, ama wale watu walikuwa wanapigia yeye kura, although watu wanasema hakupigiwa kura, in the interim alipigiwa na bodaboda, alipigiwa na mama boga, na wale watu wote ambao walipigia kura ili afanye zile vitu zao. Bwana Bernard, I want to tell you, if Ruto today served mama mboga, if Ruto today served bodaboda, if Ruto today served wale watu ambao hawana kwao, I want to tell you, tungejaribu kutoa Ruto hapa tushindwe. Tungejaribu, hata tungejaribu kusema huyu mtu ni mbaya sijui ni nini, we couldn't be able. Hata sisi wenyewe, some of us, we could have been converted. Let me tell you, Bernard, in this life, there is no good man in this life than that man who honors what he says. The reason why, even if Mr. Trump is not likable to some people, the reason why I honor that man, it is because he walks the talk. Akisema mimi, I will deliver a fish, he delivers a fish. He is trustworthy. And that is how a politician should be. That is what Kenyan politicians have refused to do. A Kenyan politician anakuja anakuambia, sitakuwa na serikali ya muungano. There will not be dialogue. Then mausiku unasikia vitu zingine zinatendeka na huko ndani ya hema. That is where we disagree as a people. We want politicians who can stand by thick by thin. Tunataka politicians who can even stay in opposition, even if it is for 20 years, with hope that one day we will form a government. That is where we have failed. If we had that politician who is ready to stand with us, and stand with us hata kama tuko kwa giza saa hii, with the hope that there will be light at the end of the tunnel, hii vita ya Ruto tungemalizana zamani. We could have changed the Kenya a long time ago. Lakini wanasiasa wetu ni wale ambao they want to behave like the hyena, which wanted to eat on the two directions. Mwishowe ikavunjika miguu. That is the problem of Kenyan politicians. But until we get a politician who is able to stand with the people and is not ready to compromise, The reason why, Bernard, I know you are shocked by Mr. Trump is because you cannot believe that somebody can promise and can commit to do something and he does it 1 hour after inauguration. It's abnormal. I understand. I know the reason why people are getting shocked because we are not used to people who deliver what they say. So I'm not amused when I see people getting shocked because whatever we vote is not what is delivered to us. So bana ndio wakati naona ukiwa unashtuka wakati vitu zinatendeka wakati ile mambo ya kuwekelea Biblia chini once we put the Bible down we will do ABCD. I understand the shock. I understand.
But let's give it 6 months down the road and
no, it's good.
Si
already vitu zimetendeka.
Wachana na hiyo tafadhali. Hiyo ilikuwa hiyo inauguration speech.
The guy has already achieved 50% of his presidency as we speak now. As we speak now, it is promised.
I have no problem with that.
50% has been achieved.
Let's do this. Let's not campaign for him.
No, I'm not.
He's in office,
but I'm saying
he's in office already.
Roger, 1 minute.
He's in office already. He's executing his manifesto. Let's wait and see.
50%. Ako mzunguko. He has already done 50% of what he said. Amebakia baadhi vitu kidogo. I want to tell you by the end of this
year. First day in office, he has already done 50%.
Yeah,
what will he be doing 50%. For the rest of the 4 years?
Yes, he has achieved 50% of what. Sasa amebakia sasa kuleta majob. Hiyo ndio kitu imebaki. Jobs peke yake. But 50% of what he needed to do.
Wananjiru, are you working in Trump's office?
He has achieved. Maneno ya boda watu hawaingii. Maneno ya boda.
No, nauliza wewe, are you working in Trump's office? Are you
I know. America works through policies.
Okay, let's do this. Let's not spend too much time campaigning for.
No, I'm not campaigning for him. The guy has already worked.
Thing is, we have got the message. Thank you. Let's do this, Bwana Njiru. Tafadhali, muda umeyoma, nataka kuland. So kile nasema ni hiki. Trump is in office. We gave him congratulations. He's gone successfully, been inaugurated. Let's wait and see what he does. And of course, whatever he has signed and given as executive orders, some of them are going to be challenged through the courts. So your achievement of 50% is still questionable until it has sailed through. And then I have no problem with what he does. And of course, even our discussion was not on how much Trump will do for America, was the effect of Trump's decisions against the rest of the world, especially Africa. And of course, the pulling out of the US funding World Health Organization is going to have negative effect, especially to the third world countries. And to Trump, those don't matter in terms of the big brother aspect of America to the rest of the world is something that should not be a priority. Okay, but the other successive administration have had a soft hand of caring for the rest of the sick world. If he doesn't care about the rest of the sick world, then that sickness will catch up with him too. And the rest of the world will not care about him being sick as well.
But 30 seconds, nikuwekea kakitu. You see, sisi watu weusi, we have always claimed that we were the first people in the world. Tulianzia kwa dunia. So sisi tumekuweko. So kama sisi tumekuweko, si tutumie zile vitu zetu ambazo tumekuwa tukiunda toka jadi na jadi. We always claim that our life is beyond the Turkana boy. So we have now grown of age. We have existed in this world for millenniums and millenniums. So why are we getting so worried when we get isolated for 4 years or for 12 years? Simply because we are operating with corrupt people and the people do not understand. Why should America invest in Kenya? Why should America put money in Kenya? And all that money is going to build paradises for one or two people. It doesn't make sense. I agree with them. That money they need it in their nation. They need to subsidize their people. So Africa should now be able now to walk the talk. We say we have natural resources. We say we have natural gas. We say we have trees. We say we have everything. We say Congo, Hinga, hizo vitu zote. Zile vitu nasikianga. Now, if we always claim that we have all those things, why are we crying when we are being isolated? And we deserve that isolation, Bernard. It is not that Africa doesn't deserve that isolation. Africa deserves that isolation. Marekani huwa wanasaidiwa na nani? Marekani was battling moto the other day. How many African choppers?
Okay, let's say that Africa deserves isolation.
Yes.
We will find our way around. We have always survived. We have survived so many things. So there's no need for that. And then, of course, Burkina Faso is showing us the way. If we go that way, we will see who will be the first one to cry. Kwangu mimi nataka tutamatishe tafadhali. Kwa hivyo naomba hiyo debate labda tuendeleze kesho. Masaa ni imekatika, na omba tafadhali kuwakumbusha wote ambao mnataka kuhusika kwa swala la Frank, get in touch with me. Thank you for those who are getting in touch with me on WhatsApp. Please, let's keep at it and ensure that we do what we should do. The Kenyan politics continue turns and twists, all of it being played by William Ruto and team. But at the end of the day, the Kenyan people need to win. And the Kenyan people can only win when each and every Kenyan is taken care of. And so as we fight, let's not fight for our region, fight for our community. Let's fight for Kenya, for all Kenyans. Until that Kenya is achieved, the rest of the Kenya can never be at peace. And so as much as we want to be on the forefront and determine, I can see Mungare here saying nobody becomes president in Kenya without Mount Kenya. Now that is part of our problem, okay? The presidency of Kenya is not a regional office for regional commissioner or regional wherever. The presidency of the nation is supposed to be communal, and not only communal, but it's supposed to be national. That's why we're talking about nationalism as opposed to individualism and opportunistic. And so as we ventilate on our situation and the country's situation, let's be in charge, make noise where we can, keep writing what you write, keep sending the SMSs, keep educating those you need to educate, let everybody be on the forefront. And on that note, I leave you with the clip of Frank. Please consider supporting Frank, is important.
Close your eyes. See, this is where they shot me. The first bullet straight in my chest. The second one is here in my arm. Look, the third one in my thigh. See, this is the fifth one. And guess where they shot the sixth one? In my private part. On Tuesday, the 25th of June 2024, 19-year-old Frank Okoth trended on social media.
Alipigwa risasi mara 6 wakati wa maandamano ya Jumanne iliyopita nje ya majengo ya bunge, ila Frank Okoth.
On social media, message like "Rest in peace Frank Okoth" filled the internet, along with the names of many others killed during the Gen Z demonstrations in Kenya. The list was long, but Frank's video made the situation even more terrifying.
Please stop killing our children. Those guns you are using to shoot our children, one day they will turn against you.
I was on the front line. I saw a police officer clearly with my own eyes. He first threw a tear gas canister. It felt like a battlefield. Then I heard a shot. At first, it was too fresh. I didn't even know I was shot. I ran away. I heard the second bullet. Maybe the third one was the worst. I couldn't hear anything. I collapsed, and the rest was history.
Tunaingia vijijini, mijini na hata jijini kukuletea taarifa mchana kutwa. Usiku tunaketi kitako, tunadadavua tukichanganua taarifa na makala muhimu yanayokuhusu wewe na familia yako. Ungana na Bernard Ngozi kwenye Open Forum Political Show kuanzia saa 4 usiku hadi dakika zake kila siku ya wiki kwenye
kutoka vijijini, mijini hadi jijini. Hii ni Sound Kanti Talk Live. At Sound Candy Talk, we provide live UHD broadcasting for church services, talk shows and podcasts, weddings, live bands, products and services launches, webinars and trainings, Zoom meetings, conferences, seminars, exhibitions, and virtual concerts.